Hello everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the Friday stream. The third stream of the week. How about that? We're back. And today is finally the day. The day we end this servant tier lists of 2022. This was normally meant to happen last week, but you know, because of me getting kind of sick, I had to delay it sadly. But I am confident that I can do it today without further delay, you know. That is at least the plan, you know. Very cool stuff. Speaking of cool stuff, other cool stuff today as well. First of all, you guys probably might have already noticed, it's in the title as well. We got the new animated emote for you subs. The cutesy mystfgSneeze is live now. I'm pretty happy how it turned out, but again, feedback is always welcome. We can still make revisions or whatnot if necessary. But I'm personally pretty pogged up about it. I thought it's exactly pretty much what I asked for, which is, you know, a cutesy mystfgSneezing. So I think my artist delivered pretty well on my request, at least personally. So that's kind of pogging. Because you guys know me. I sneeze a lot, so... I mean, you can obviously use it even without me sneezing, but, you know... At least if I happen to sneeze again, people have some emote to use, I suppose. Oh yeah, Hamlet, you of all people will hopefully enjoy it. Since you're a big Eresh fan. Oh yeah, Jax, that's another thing worth mentioning that I forgot. A minor thing, but still worth mentioning. The polls should be fixed now as well. So they should properly appear on the normal overlays, the FGO and the non-FGO game overlays now. So that's cool. Improvements and fixes. And lastly, another cool thing. This is mostly for me. This is not really for the stream or anything. I got my new earbuds today. The really expensive ones I ordered from abroad. They were estimated to be delivered to me on the 20th, but apparently I already got them today. So that's, you know, almost 2 weeks early, I suppose, to the estimate. It's still gonna take a while to get used to these, because I've never had in-ear monitors before. Like, these are legit kind of nuts. But yeah, in fact, this first stream, I think I'm only going to use one of the sides because I'm still not used to, because it definitely muffles the outside sound a lot. So if I can't hear myself, it kind of is weird, but I'll probably get used to that at some point. But this stream, I'll probably just listen on one of the sides only, because I would still like to hear myself talk. I'll show them off, of course, once we get going here. It even has a custom engraving on one of the sides because, you know, cool stuff. Also, in terms of FGO news, we got the NA, well, I guess they call it, what, 17 million downloads campaign instead of 20 that JP had. But yes, it is indeed the free SSR ticket campaign with the rotational banner of various limited SSRs coming in. Well, the campaign itself starts on the 14th, but apparently the banner, I think, starts on the 10th. So that's an interesting thing, I suppose. I won't be rolling on it for a while, though, because I think the rate-up I'm interested in, because I just mostly want for first Sunrise MLB, but I still obviously want to choose a rate-up that is like the most interesting to me, and I think Da Vinci is the most interesting to me. So I looked at the schedule, so the day I'm going to be rolling on is the Monday, not the next Monday, but the Monday after the next Monday. So it's like over like 1.5 weeks away still. So I won't be rolling for a while on that banner. Also, people, and I can maybe finally give an answer to people asking me about who I'm going to pick with the free SSR ticket. I think I'm going to pick Scheherazade. No joke. Actually, even though I that was the original plan if I didn't have already, but now that I have everyone else as well, my best options were either picking an MP5, like someone that is going to be MP5 from the pick, or someone that's going to be MP2. Everything in between, not the best value, but I feel like MP2 makes way more sense than an MP5, because that's just inviting more USOs again. And I thought I had more options for MP2s, but I guess not, because I only have 3 options. So the 3 options I had, or have still, are Napoleon, Nightingale, and Scheherazade. Don't really want Nightingale MP2. That doesn't really do too much in my opinion. I don't even use her much anyway. And Napoleon, I think he's cool and all, but I have every other SSR, AoE, Buster, Archer at MP2 already, so even if I got him MP2, I probably still wouldn't use him too much over some of the other ones that I kind of like more, like Tesla or Ishtar. And then Scheherazade. Yeah. The only caster that I have on high MP level. I mean, Da Vinci might be MP2 after the Monday, after the next Monday, if everything goes well. But besides that, Anastasia is the only one I have at high MP levels. Everyone else is 1, including Murasaki, so... And it's pretty funny that if I were to pick Scheherazade, because she might just be the most hated SSR in the entire game. She's definitely not the worst by any means in terms of gameplay, but people tend to just hate her. So I thought that was pretty funny if I were to pick her myself, you know? So I think I might just end up picking Scheherazade when the time comes. I might even make a small bit out of it for a video or something. I just want to see the reactions of people when I pick her. So there you go. That's a lot of stuff right there. So yeah, but today, obviously, the final servant tier list, which is the second part of the extra classes, we're looking at Shielder, Alter Ego, Foreigner, and Pretender. I think this list has 1 more entry than part 1, believe it or not, because we have double Moshu as well. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Also, basically, I have a feeling this list will be the most controversial one. There's so many, like, really, like, debated servants in this list, I feel like. So this one, it's the last one, so maybe it's fitting, but it is a bit scary, because, so far the reception generally has been pretty good, but you never know how this final part ends up going, you know? No, I'm not interested about the game, Ryan, no. First time joining the stream, hey, welcome to the stream, Yokiz. Whoo! Yeah. People are already making their predictions on where I'm gonna play stuff. I've talked with a lot of other people as well, and those people have a good idea of most of my placements. And with that said, obviously I myself have a good idea of where I'm going to place most of these servants already. But obviously we're still going to take a look at every single one of them, even some of the more obvious ones. I will still obviously go through all the kits and everything and say what I want to say before placing everyone. Hey homeboy, thanks for the 17 months. Welcome back to the Go Gang, my dude. Play Elden Ring, please. In due time, but not for a while. I need to, well, I don't need to, but I want to beat Dark Souls 2 and 3 first. But if you're interested, I am playing Dark Souls 2 this Sunday. So, if you're interested in seeing that, tune in then, I guess. Second half of the stream will be Dark Souls 2 on Sunday. I guess we have a command for that already, that's funny. Ooh, yeah, it's a big day, huh? I'm not sure how long this stream will be, because again, I have a feeling doing this list will still take a toll on my voice, so it might be one of a shorter stream. But I'm hoping maybe starting from tomorrow already, I can do longer stream, like full duration streams that I do again. But just to play it safe, I might just try to do the list today and take it easy after that, basically. Hey Zero, thanks for the 10 months as well. Welcome back to the Go Gang. Speaking of which, yeah, the alerts will be disabled again once I switch scenes here, which I guess I should do right now, if anything. For the purposes of, archiving this list to YouTube, it's a bit less distractions. Hey, here we are. Yeah, the white background is not the best for the chat again, but it is what it is. I used it last time as well. The transparent background, that is. There's no dark mode on this side, I'm pretty sure, so not much I can do about it. It is what it is. Oh yeah, I only have one connected right now because again, I want to hear myself, but yeah, these are pretty sick. Let's see if I can show you the engraving here. I wonder if the camera can focus on it, but Let me full screen this for a second. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's gonna be hard to focus on it. Oh, there you go. Hey, look at that. For those who don't know, that's Misaki Shokuho from Index and Railgun and many other works. One of my all-time #1 waifus. A top-tier Ojo-sama character. Okay, it's not focused anymore. God damn it. Focus. Well, you saw her a little bit. Again, it's hard to show this, but this is the engraving I chose, basically. There you go. Very cool stuff. The sound quality is pretty good, I have to say. But it's gonna take a while to get used to the style of an in-ear monitor, basically. What is it engraved on? On one of my new, like, this is an in-ear monitor, basically. They're still earbuds, but they like go here, obviously you're into your ears. They go like really deep. And you also wrap this cord like here around your ear like this. And they go pretty deep. So now I have like a very clear sound, but it's harder to hear stuff outside, basically, because they kind of do muffle the sound a lot. So for this stream, I think I'm only going to be using my right side here to listen to the music and whatnot, because I do want to hear myself still. So there you go. They were pretty expensive, not gonna lie, but hopefully they're gonna last a long time. I still need to get an adapter for them though. They're still connected to the shitty PC port I have that seems to disconnect sometimes, so I'm gonna get an adapter to connect them to my audio interface instead, which has a bigger audio jack, so I need an adapter for that. Whew. Yeah. Also, I have the forum here, which I'll be linking as well, because people have been asking for it. In fact, people... fuck. Can I zoom in on this or something? Because it's not even that visible right now on the stream. Curse me in my not centered thingy because of reasons. Hide side panel that doesn't do anything. Can I push these somehow? Oh, here we go. Zoom in. Oh, this helps. Oh, this helps. Oh yeah, look at that. Hey, that's what I'm gonna do, I think. Alright, we'll go with this. This is a compromise. Alright. Okay. Probably should have zoomed in on it before as well, because it was kind of hard to see, I assume, but whatever. Whatever. Oh, my mic is... I need to lock it in properly. I even have a segment of what I want to say on the video and the stream before I even do the disclaimers and whatnot, which I'll do at the start of the video as well, before you get to see the intro stuff, like the text I always paste, because this is the final tier list. Alright, let me hydrate a little bit, because you guys know what happens once I start talking in these tier lists. I mean, obviously at some point I might ask for opinions or talk to chat, but mostly it's just gonna be me talking from start to finish. Oh boy. I'll even have my water here ready in case I need it, because I have a feeling I will need to drink a lot during this. How long do these usually take? Well, the full ones that are not in parts like this usually took like 3 to 4 hours or so. I have a feeling this is going to be just over 2 hours if I had to guess. That's my guess, but it could be less as well, I suppose. I don't think this is going to be 3 hours though. But we shall see. I do have things I want to say, quite a bit of things to say about some of these servants at least. Is my hair good? Well, it's as good as it can get, I guess. There you go. Kind of a mess, but it is what it is. Let me look at my notes, and otherwise I think we'll just start very soon here. Hairline check, yes. Indeed. I think everything should be okay. Again, I'll leave the song volume and whatnot to the mods, because I don't really want to start commenting about the songs or the volume of the songs when I get going here, because obviously YouTube isn't going to have the music. So it's just going to sound stupid if I comment about music, so hopefully you guys can handle the that the volume is fine, because I still want stream people to hear my voice, even if this will be archived later on YouTube, where people can definitely hear me because there's no background music or whatsoever. But I still want you guys watching right now on the stream live to you know, hear me talk. Otherwise this kind of defeats the purpose of doing one of these, I suppose. One more sip and I think that's it. I'm gonna try and thank subs and whatnot if I see any throughout this, but again, there won't be alerts for any of that stuff today. Okay, let's see. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I need to get back on track again. So I'll do the first YouTube intro here thingy. This is like a special case. I've never done this before. Okay, before anything, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone watching these tier lists, be it live on the stream or later on YouTube. The reception overall for these lists have been very positive and encouraging, I have to say. I am even humbled when people were genuinely asking when the next ones were going to happen in some of the comments. Apologies for the delay as well for the second part of extra classes. My throat was definitely not feeling well enough for me to do this last week as normally planned because I got COVID, but now I'm finally doing it. Also, a ton of people asked me about the MP damage loop sheet, this thing basically that you can see right now. So, which I was using as a reference for last time as well, and have been using otherwise as well. But I will be linking it this time on the description of this video as well. So if you're watching this later on YouTube, that's where you can find it. And big shout out to Jordanian from my community for making it as well. So I definitely did not make that sheet. I'm just using it as a reference. So there you go. That's all I want to say for the first part. Now, you know, time to roll the usual intro stuff. Boom. This is awkward on stream because obviously this would be edited, this part now. So I guess now I'll just start talking. Now we would have the text thingies here that I usually put at the start of the video. But yeah, you guys get a lot of behind the scenes action here, I suppose, right? But yeah, I might as well just keep going. Obviously this part right here, we'll just see a bit of editing. Alright, so yes, here we are indeed. The actual list will begin now. So the second part of extra classes, and as you can see, we're dealing with Shielder, Alter Ego, Foreigner, and Pretender. The list is more or less the same size as the one of part 1. I think the difference is only like one servant more here, if I remember correctly. And it's been a good 2 weeks since I've done one of these, so forgive me. I kind of need to learn the ropes again. You think I wouldn't, but yeah, I kind of do. This is a scary list for me. I'm just going to say that from the get-go. I also think this will be the most controversial one in terms of feedback. And, you know, I am prepared for some criticism if need be. Because I will be the first to admit for a lot of these entries, I do not have the best experience. Mostly because I don't have all of them in JP, and a lot of them are also still very new in my opinion. I haven't had the greatest time to try out all these, but I did try my best to, you know, do a lot of research, and I even consulted a lot of people as well from my community who also are pretty knowledgeable about a lot of this stuff. So I think I have a good general grasp of the servants at least, but you know, I understand if people want to disagree with many of these. And that's, again, this is just an opinion-based thing anyway, so hopefully no one's gonna get too mad about anything. You guys have been pretty civil in the comments and on the stream as well, so I'm hoping we can end this on a pretty poggin note as well. Now again, I have to do the usual disclaimers again, because, you know, some people only might watch one or two of these lists, so forgive me. I'm gonna try and get these out of the way fast. So again, as much as I just said, I am not an expert. I'm not sure if anyone can really qualify to be called an expert in this game, but I have played JP for over 5 years now, basically logging every day doing my thing, and I've played since the launch as well, so I'd like to say I have a fairly good understanding of the game, the mechanics and power levels, etc. As you can see, every servant in the game as of April 8th 2022 are in this list, including all of the buffs as of this day as well, so all of that will be taken into account absolutely. Now, the big thing, the main placement criteria is that I will be placing servants on what I feel like they do the best, as in what kind of role they do the best and how well they do said role. Like if someone is a great boss DPS, I'll definitely rate them as a DPS rather than a farmer or a support or something. But of course, if someone excels in multiple different roles, then hey, it's just gonna give them more points, if anything, because that's flexibility and I appreciate that. Now, another big thing that people still sometimes complain to me about, which I think is an unfair thing to do as well, different rarities of servants, aka 1 to 5 stars, they should not really be directly compared. Because let's say I place a 4-star DPS on the same tier as like a 5-star DPS of the same class, that doesn't necessarily mean they're equal in like power levels or rankings. I am mostly look at the placements based on the rarities themselves, is what I want to say here. Now, obviously, if a lower rarity does like a job better than a higher rarity, in some cases it's very possible, then hey, it makes the 4-star rank even higher most likely. So I guess in that direction, the rule can still be overruled, I suppose. Now, speaking of comparison, there will be comparison though, but not really between different rarities, but among their own rarities and among the peers of the servant. So let's say we have 2 AoE alter egos, there probably will be comparison between said servants. Now, MP levels, we're looking at MP 1 across the board for, to be a bit more realistic, hopefully, at least for the non-welfare golds. And in fact, everyone in this list is a gold servant anyway. Well, even Moshu I count as gold. But we do have some welfares at least, I suppose, so those will be assumed as MP5. And if it wasn't obvious by this point, this is clearly a gameplay tier list, not a favorites one. So even though there's many servants in here as well that I very much like as characters and whatnot, I will try to be as unbiased as I can and try to be objective in my critique. And as you can see, the placement order is well, I guess this is a bit different than the usual, because first of all, it's based on rarity. So 1 to 5 stars, we go from lowest to highest, even though we kind of start pretty high here already because there's no low stars whatsoever. Then we do, the order is among their classes. So when we get to the 4 stars, we're going to cover the alter egos first, then pretender, or then foreigner, then pretender. So, and then lastly, the final prio is, highest, or the release date. So the latest one last. So it's like a 3 priority system. But it doesn't matter anyway, you can just see it. That's the order I'm gonna go with on the screen right now, so I don't even know why I'm even explaining it. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, you have the privilege of using the timestamps, the chapters, whatever you call them, that I have lovingly left and spent even more time making for your viewing pleasures. So again, I don't expect most people to watch these in the full duration. So feel free to skip around if you want, using the timestamps in the description, if you just want to see your favorites or whatever. And before you leave an angry comment as well, be sure to always check the end. There's a timestamp for the final placements as well, so because some stuff might get shifted a little bit in the end, maybe not, but you always just want to check just in case, because comparison can happen later easier than during the initial placement. So there you go, that's pretty much it for the usual disclaimer stuff, I suppose. I apologize for the doozy, but I like to be pretty thorough with this stuff, in case it hasn't been obvious yet. Also, one thing before I start the actual, reviews, placements, whatever you call it, big shout out to all the people, again, watching all of these. So I know a lot of people actually, so many people have said they treat these as like podcasts, which honestly, I'm kind of honored to hear that, because I don't think I'm a great person to hold like a podcast or anything, but hey, if you actually enjoy just listening to these in their entirety, then thank you. That's very cool. I'll take that as a compliment, I suppose. Even some people were sad to see these end because they were like, oh, it's now my usual weekly podcast. And yeah, that's very cool. But maybe we'll have something similar in the future as well, in terms of video uploads as well. But, you know, feel free to always catch me live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Myst, if you ever want to just hang out and talk to me about anything else. But yeah, we might have something similar on YouTube as well at some point in the future. So don't lose all hope, in case you're sad that these are going to end this week. And I think we're finally ready to go then, without further ado then, right? Basically. I think we should be good to go then. Whew, okay. Now, we will start with the, because it's based on rarity as well, I guess Moshu is, you know, still here as like a 4-star, even though it's kind of maybe misleading nowadays on JP. But yeah, we'll be having, I have both Moshus separated as well. So we're just gonna move on immediately here, clicking on the best Kohai there is. Sorry, BB fans, but you know, it is what it is. Let me get my usual references up as well. So, everyone knows her. It's the one servant everyone is guaranteed to have. And depending on your progress in the game, she's either great or amazing. So, how about that? Stat-wise, we're looking at... I guess I should be now treating her as a 4-star level 90, because this is current day and age. We're looking at 9.6k attack, but I should not say, like, is it good within a certain rarity or whatnot, because it's not really fair, because Moshu has the amazing benefit of being a 0-cost servant. So it's not like I can really say, compared to an SSR level 90, the attack is low, because that's unfair. It is low in terms of that, but hey... it makes sense for her to have more focus on HP anyway. The good old double buster, double art stack. It's still funny, she still has the day 1 numbers though, so you know, the hit counts are still not crazy good, but that's okay. Also, again, because I usually estimated MP gain based on my own experience and whatnot, rather than spending a lot of time just, you know, running calculators and whatnot as to who doesn't have good MP gain. I'll just mostly talk about MP gain where I know it's either like good or bad or just average. So for a lot of these servants, I won't be really talking about it too much, not because I don't really want to mislead with that stuff, because sometimes my memory has not been fully accurate with these, I admit that. But in Moshu's case, both of the generations for star and MP is not that good. Obviously with a certain skill active, and you know, it's gonna be insanely good. Now let's skip to the skills. So, the first skill of the OG Moshu is a great one. So first of all, party defense up 20%, 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown is okay. Not amazing, but okay. And then with the upgrade, you also get a 2000 damage cut for one attack with no duration on it. So when you get hit that first time with the face card, chances are the servant takes like next to 0 damage. It's a great mitigation skill. And this is one of the big reasons why Orthodox just feels a lot weaker, missing this skill right here. So it's still to this day, despite being basic, it is a great defensive skill. Second skill, it's a targeted invul with an up to 20% battery, 1-turn invul. It is a very hefty 7-turn cooldown, so I still don't want to call this like an amazing skill. It is just alright in my opinion. But in her kit, it just makes a lot of sense. So it's still again, she's all about pro-tech. So this is just more pro-tech. So it makes a lot of sense in her kit. Third skill. So here's the thing, right? It's by far the highest MP gain skill in the entire game. No one else is even half of that. Maybe like third at most. I forgot how much Leonidas had. But yeah, for 1 turn, she gets 400% MP generation. And a ton for 1 turn on a 6-turn cooldown. So if everyone knows that Moshu doesn't even necessarily need starting gauge if you can run the part 1 Moshu, because with this skill you can go from 0 to 100 with a single card chain. If you crit with an arts card, that's basically from 0 to 100. So it's a very easy way to get her MP. So this is a pretty poggin skill, needless to say. Pretty disgusting. You can even OC the MP with just this skill sometimes. Now we're not going to take a look at the Ortinax yet, but passives, here we go. Magic Rosé, just great to have, especially on a tank. Makes a lot of sense. Riding C, pretty irrelevant if you ask me, with 1-2 hitter quick, but you know, it's something. Bond bonus kind of relevant for gameplay. And then the append is actually a unique one in Moshu. She gets damage against extra classes, including many beasts. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. She's still not a great damage dealer, obviously, but I guess it's still a pretty working append, so it's an interesting one. And then the upgraded version of the base Moshu is a really good one. Again, basic, but good. So, actually, I'm blanking out. Do we actually have MP3 or 4? I actually forgot. But yeah, we do get a nice flat damage cut for 3 turns. It's MP3, so it's 775 damage cut with no like hit count, which is great. It's a 3-turn, 1 flat out. Combine that with the OC of a base 30% defense up for 3 turns. Again, that's a lot of mitigation with just a base 100% MP. So, and with the upgrade, your teammates, not Moshu herself, but your teammates get a pretty damn solid 30% attack up for 3 turns. So she can actually not only protect, but she can actually kinda, you know, boost your DPS output as well. So everything about her is basic, but it's just great and it makes sense. You know, in a lot of gacha games, the main character tends to suck, but hey, we have the luxury of having an amazing unit as our main character. Main playable character, I should say. So I assume a lot of people saw this coming, but there's not even a contest. The OG Moshu belongs in EX Plus, mostly because she's an 0-cost servant. That is so massive, like, it's stupid. 0 cost is absolutely ridiculous. And she is so good and solid at what she does. Top tier tank with 0 cost. Just, you can easily put her in every challenge quest party, and most people do, in case you're, unless you're running like a setup, but yeah. On any other challenge, you can easily slot her in. I don't think this is an even argument, at least not in my eyes, so there you go. It's pretty funny that the first placement happens to be like this, but yeah. Now, we're just gonna immediately talk about Orthodox then. Or Ortenaus, I suppose, as well as another translation, but I like to use the NA one, which is Orthodox. So we still obviously have the same numbers up here, right? That doesn't really change, so it's still alright. But then we have a different skill set. So the first skill is no longer a defensive one, which in my opinion, and I assume everyone else shares the same opinion, it is awkward because she was much better as a full-on defense-focused character. This is a bit awkwardly placed. It's definitely there because of lore, everyone knows that, but obviously we still have to talk about gameplay value here. So what does the first skill do now? Well, her self-buster up goes up to 100%. For 3 turns, but only 1 attack. So as soon as you use one of her buster cards, that buff is gone. So you better hope it crits, because otherwise it's still not a great damage buff. But if you do crit, it's another 100% damage for crit damage. 1 attack, 3 turns. Now this doesn't get consumed unless you crit, but obviously you would prefer to crit it because you kind of want the buster buff to be there as well. So either until you crit or until 3 turns is over, this disappears. So it's a bit more flexible, but yeah. And she also ignores defense for 3 turns as well. It is a 4-turn cooldown, so for a lot of servants, this skill right here would actually be really damn good. Like, so good. This skill itself is actually a great offensive skill. But on Moshu, sadly, she just is not a damage servant. We all know that. You can make a fun PP creation meme with Merlin with Moshu if you want, but it's never gonna be like a legit DPS strat though, so sadly it's a bit misplaced despite being a great offensive skill otherwise. Second skill, well, we still have a taunt. This one is even on a better cooldown at 5, but instead of giving her a 400% MP gain for the turn, she gets up to 20% battery, which definitely is weaker in most cases in my opinion. But hey, at least the cooldown is better, and taunt is still a great thing to have on her, despite not being as tanky as she used to be. So I think this skill is still alright. And then, the other good thing about Orthodox, honestly, which I still like, she has a second taunt. This one is a hefty 7-turn cooldown, because it's basically the invul skill, but you can't even target this one, sadly. The invul is always going to go on herself. The demerit is not big though, it's basically negligible. It's only a 500 damage to herself that can't even kill her, so at least the demerit is small. But having access to a double taunt, with one of them being an invul as well, means that she can still do a lot of protect. I feel like a lot of people are giving Ortinax a way too big of a bash, no pun intended. Passives are the same, which are still fine, same as the append, and then the MP. Sadly, it's a downgrade as well. It's just flat out worse. So the damage cut number on the MP level is the same, but instead of being 3 turns, it is now only 3 attacks or 5 turns, which in 99% of the case is just weaker. It's just flat out weaker. The OC is the same, which is still good. The 30% base defense up for 3 turns for your party, but it's also missing the attack up for your allies, so yeah, it's definitely a very sizable downgrade on that MP. While obviously not being even that comparable to the OG, I still think Ortinax is a very, very working version of Moshu. Zero cost is still a thing, keep that in mind, and that is still huge. And she can still do good protect with a double taunt and an invul. So, while obviously lacking behind the original one, she is still good. Because that zero cost is broken, it's just broken. Especially with the level 90 Grail nowadays on JP, so... And this might get bumped in the future, because let's be real. It's not even... I think it's an easy speculation to make that this MP will also see a buff at some point. They will do the same thing what they did with the... They will definitely buff this MP at some point in the main story. I can already see it happening. So then Ortinax might just jump again. And maybe they're even going to change some of the skills again. But yeah, until that day happens, she's still solid. Just not as good as the OG one, not even really close, but still a very solid case to be made. Right, that's it for the shielders, I guess, because there's still no other ones, and I'm not sure if there ever will be on other ones. But we can start with the 4 stars now. There's not that many, even with 3 classes of them, but the first of all is an alter ego one. We got Passion Lip. A very OG one, obviously in the first batch of alter egos added into the game. They added 3 in the same event though, which is kind of nuts. With a Moon Cancer as well. But yeah, Passion Lip, what are we looking at? An AoE Buster DPS, which I think is, I'm going to say it immediately, I think it's a shame. Some people are defending the AoE MP, but I think it would make more sense if she was single target though. But it is what it is. Now I can finally bring out my stat sheet again here, so to get a reference here, attack at 10.3k more or less is definitely very good for a 4-star though. But I have to talk about the elephant in the room here. You guys, a lot of you guys know how I feel about the alter ego class, and I guess nowadays also Pretender. I don't think it's a good class. I just think alter ego as a class is just weak, sadly. So this, yes, her attack is high, but you gotta kind of think of her as a berserker offensive wise, because the modifier is only 1.5x instead of the good 2.0 against the classes she's good against. Obviously, if you go against Pretender, right? Or not, no, Foreigner, you do get the full, then that's the best case, the full attack and defense advantage, but you don't fight Foreigners too often, sadly, so... And yeah, when you are fighting cavalry, that's one of the reasons I don't think Alter Ego or Pretender are that good, because you don't get any defensive advantage, you're still full on neutral, so you get half the attack advantage, and neutral for defense. That is a big deal. Obviously, they're very flexible, because, you know, if you're fighting mixed classes of, like, cavalry, then yes, Alter Ego is definitely very viable. But in a lot of cases, you still might want to pick, like, a cavalry unit or something like that, so, yeah. But hey, at least her attack is still high, despite not benefiting as much as she could from it. HP obviously a bit on the lower side, but, you know, it makes sense because her attack is high. We're looking at a full gorilla deck, which I think honestly works for her, because her MP is kind of a noodle, so at least her face cards have pretty okay damage potential. I say okay, because I think some people overrate her. It's not that good. It's okay, but it's not that amazing. Now, let's take a look at the skills. There's some stuff here at least. So, first skill is a full-on defensive one. Self-damage cut up to 1k for 3 attacks, 5 turns is alright for sure. And also debuff immune 3 times, 5 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. And this debuff immune is also very important when we get to the third skill. Yeah, it's a pretty solid defensive skill. Nothing crazy good. There's definitely better ones in the game out there, but definitely I would say better than average for a defensive skill. So that's not a bad start. I like that the effects are good synergy, so you know it's not awkward to use the skill at all, and it's also flexible with the turn and hit counts. Second skill has been buffed, which is cool, I suppose. It's another taunt for self, 1 turn. She gets up to 30% defense for that turn as well. Now here's the thing, the buff added an attack buff, but it only activates if she's at least 50% HP or lower. At 50% HP, it starts from 30% on max rank, and if you're like around 1 HP, it's then up to 50% attack for 3 turns. It is a 4-turn cooldown, so if you can somehow consistently keep her on a low HP, this is a great uptime for this skill on a good attack buff, but it's definitely far from consistent. Because she also heals herself anyway, and I assume your supports might do some healing as well, you know, courtesy of Merlin, for instance. So it might be a bit hard to actually get this to really work. So I feel like I shouldn't really put too much emphasis on it. I still think it's a good skill because it's still a good defensive taunt on a 4-turn cooldown. That's great, but it's just a bit hard to use the attack buff basically a lot of the times. Now, the third skill. There's a lot of stuff here. So, first of all, 30% attack up 3 turns. Alright, ignore invul 3 turns, great utility. And then the meme, you have a chance to instant kill with for 1 attack on or 3 turns. Only 10%, so it's only almost against bronze mobs, so it's definitely irrelevant against bosses. You get 30% defense for 1 turn, and then you also immediately stun yourself upon using this skill. So you better make sure you use either this first before using this skill, or, you know, have someone else protect from this, because this stun happens immediately when you use this skill. So you gotta be ready for that. But luckily, this is a 6-turn cooldown, and this is a 5-turn cooldown, so this is, you know, this should always be up by the time you want to use this. And because this is also flexible, it's not like it's a 1-turn debuff immune. You don't have to miss a turn with this to use it again. No, you can just pop this immediately again, unless the enemy somehow debuffs you 3 different instances in 1 turn. You are gonna have one of these stacks still remaining for this on the next turn, so it's a pretty good way of dealing it herself, at least, I suppose. Do debuff immunity stack? They do not, no. Ooh, at least if it's a full-on debuff immune, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. If you have like a charm immunity, I think that might stack on top. I'm actually not sure, but I'm pretty sure if it's the same effect, it doesn't stack. Anyway, overall, the kit isn't too bad. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it's certainly above average, I would say, as a whole. Magic Resist is nice to have. More crit damage, or rather, the only crit damage she has, not a whole lot of it. Star Generation is not terrible with the AoE MP, because it has a lot of hits on a Buster MP as well. But besides that, it's kind of useless for her face cards. God Assistance is great for the additional debuff risk. So overall, passives are pretty okay as well, at least. Pretty on the good side. Assassin bonus is actually noteworthy, because again, you can definitely bring alter egos in against assassins. Arguably, the best case use of alter ego is against assassin of all the cavalry classes, right? Because casters usually they kind of lack the DPS compared to like rider and assassin. So this is probably like the best case scenario for a pretender, or not pretender, alter ego. But I guess, you know, foreigner would be the best. But again, we don't fight foreigner too often anyway. Now, the MP has been buffed, but I'm not gonna lie. Sadly, they didn't change anything besides the damage up and just increase the OC heal, which is still party-wide. So it's a 3k base on party healing, which is not bad. But I'm not gonna lie, even with the buff, the MP is still kind of a noodle. So that's going to be a theme here with this this entire list, not just alter ego here, but a lot of the AoE servants in this particular list, their MPs just don't hit super hard for a lot of them. Some definitely can, but most of them just don't hit hard. But yes, as I said earlier, it is a 12 hitter MP, so it can actually, if you hit 3 enemies, you can get a decent chunk of stars at least, despite it not doing amazing damage. And I guess it's another way for her to have an easier time enabling to have a Buster Brave Chain, which is obviously her big damage potential. If you don't hit those, then her damage just isn't that amazing. She's also lacking Absorb, so if you do have stars from your supports and whatnot, it's still going to be inconsistent with her crits, which I don't like, because I would prefer Buster face carters to have some, you know, crit potential too. She's not bad by any means, but I feel like she could use a little bit more love. And again, you know, I still don't think Alter Ego is all that amazing. I think B plus is pretty fair, honestly. I think B is a fair. I saw some of the people I talked to wanted to see her higher, but I can't really see that personally. I can't see her as an A or higher. But hey, she's still a fairly flexible option, I suppose. Now, I guess we can do both of these at one because their kits are literally identical gameplay-wise. I'm talking about the first welfare of the list, of course, that being Mecha Liz. Mecha Eli-chan, how are we gonna call that? I always just say Mecha Liz. Now, what are we looking at? Single target Buster DPS. Now here, at least we do have a single target MP, which I do prefer in these cases. As for the attack, basically 10k attack, again on the higher side for 4 stars, but you gotta keep in mind again the modifier for the class is not ideal, but hey, at least it's still alright. Full on gorilla deck yet again, with some okay hit counts actually. Overall the MP gun is not good because you only have 2 cards that do any kind of generation, but if you happen to have the best chain available, then maybe you can see some stuff, but otherwise both Star Gen and MP Gen are not that good for Mecha Liz. First skill, her version of Innocent Monster, I guess. 10 stars per turn, 3 turns, and self-defense up 30% for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. Definitely one of the better examples of how this skill can be alright. Some are absolutely bad, but this one is actually good, I would say. And because even the effects are very flexible, so you can always just pop this when you have it and you're gonna be fine. No need to worry about wasting cooldowns or being awkward with it, so this is a pretty good skill despite being basic. Now the second skill was actually buffed with the Halloween batch, the super rerun, where they buffed like all the welfare Liz's basically. It's still the same self 20% battery on a 5-turn cooldown with 500 damage to self. That used to be like very weak, but now it's a pretty fat 25 star bomb. So I feel like now this skill is actually worth talking about. It's still not amazing, but it's alright now. It used to be so basic and just weak. I mean, sure, it's nice to have battery because her MP hits pretty hard, but now it makes way more sense. Good stuff. And it's even cooler because she has crit damage in her kit as well. Now, there is a hefty demerit though, so you better... sometimes you sadly can't use this first, because sometimes it's just kind of wasted if you can't crit that turn or MP anyway, because the MP damage, while it being a very high 60% and the crit damage a pretty solid 60% too, they're only 1-turn effects, but the demerit is you remove all of your not just one or something, every defensive buff she has, including the defense up from the first skill, is gone when you use this skill. So ordering can make this skill sometimes very, very awkward to use. 5-turn cooldown. I think this could have been a 4-turn cooldown easily because the demerit is so high, so it's not an amazing skill, but hey, again, this really contributes to the fact that her MP actually hits pretty damn hard. Not an amazing skill though by any means. Right, so Magic Risby, it's okay, and debuff success rate, it's only really relevant for the MP, but I guess it's a bonus. Lancer bonus is a good joke on the append, and then the MP. I do like that it removes defensive buffs, but I don't like that it's after damage, sadly. And the defense down for 3 turns, 20% based on that OC, is also after damage. Despite that, it still does good damage, especially if you have the 3rd skill up, because it is a free MP5, so yeah. But it's a bit awkward as well when you think about it. But a lot of people who have used her still know that she's still a pretty hard-hitting servant. Her uptime isn't great by any means, but her highs are pretty high, I would say, especially for a welfare. It's guaranteed to remove. Yeah, it's 100% base chance to remove. If they have some removal resistance, it's not guaranteed, but yeah, otherwise the stuff gets removed. This is a tricky one. Is A too high? Because after the buff? I think it's one of these two. Because free MP5 is still pretty litty, and they're pretty versatile. They're still pretty versatile, I would say. I think it's fairly fair to... I think it's fair to put them on A, honestly. After the buff to the second skill. Better than Lip? I might agree, honestly. So I think this placement would make sense then, honestly. So I guess both of them will be here then, because they're the same gameplay-wise. Flexible welfare, that still does good damage, while not having the greatest uptime. To MK Mark 2 is B+ because they didn't spray her yet. Yes, good memes. Alright, next 4-star is not an alter ego, but rather a foreigner. The first foreigner of this list. We are looking at MHX6. Mysterious Heron XX, the summer version. Definitely one of my favorite Arturia faces. In fact, there we go, that's better. I did it for you, chat, and for myself. What are we looking at here? We finally are not looking at red, because now we have a single target arts DPS, so a bit different. A bit of, you know, variety, if you will. And unlike Alter Ego, Foreigner does not really suffer from a bad modifier. Now, granted, a lot of the times you will be fighting neutral, but honestly, at least their best case scenario, which is Berserkers, it's not super rare. So I can kinda, for a lot of these Foreigner placements, I can kinda just, you know, not feel too bad if I wanna actually emphasize them against Berserkers a bit. Maybe not fully, but it's definitely, you know, because it's not a niche case, I would say. Alright, there's DFA, fine, okay. Now the attack is a 9.7k as a 4-star, which is good, so that is not bad at all. Double Buster, double Arts deck, I feel like is alright. I would have preferred triple Arts, because her crit potential is... the second skill is a bit awkward, isn't it? But I guess the Buster in that sense is alright to have on double, in case you do manage to get those stars. But speaking of which... the Foreigner class, I think, is one of the great extra classes. The only ones I would call great are Ruler and Foreigner, because they still have a great Star Absorb as well, which is cool, making them crit way easier. And, you know, basically all of them are DPS anyway. One basically can be... Well, no, 2 can be considered supporters as well, I suppose, unless I'm forgetting someone. But I digress. Yeah, that makes their DPS potential a bit better. So the deck is alright. The gains are also, from what I remember, not too bad, actually. Especially with the right setup, she can actually spam her MP pretty well, which is not too bad. Arch is good. Right, skills then. Okay, so self-invul, 1-turn, 5-turn cooldown. That's already better than a standard 1-turn invul, which is a 6-turn cooldown. And then, I guess she has a mana burst type thing here as well. 50% attack up for 1 turn. It's a good skill, but again, it's one of those skills that's awkward though, because it's her main defensive mechanic with a big attack buff, so it's awkward. But luckily, because she is arts, you know, sometimes you can use your arts or these invuls a bit easier, because, you know, you have some more invul coming in from like Castoria or her MP as well with the special invul, so it makes it a little bit less awkward, but still not the ideal mix of stuff here. But good cooldown for a 1-turn invul. Anyway, the sec, I hate this skill. I just hate it. Oh my god. 20 star bomb, 4-turn cooldown ain't too bad, but reduces own absorb by 100% for 1 turn. Now, you might say that's not too much, but sadly, negative absorb is more brutal. That means her absorb is basically gone. It's gone. This is not the same as plus 100%. Negative 100% is, it's a different calculation, so it's gone. So unless you have like max stars, bye-bye. Bye-bye stars for her. This doesn't make any sense. She's supposed to be a DPS herself. It just doesn't make any sense. It's there definitely for lore reasons, which I hate. But man, they need to fix this skill. Just fix it. It's just... I hate it. I just hate it. I guess your supports can get some crits for their MPs, but that's it. Wow. Just yikes. Yeah, just bring Zerg teammates. Mostly against Zergs, that makes sense. Dot. Anyway, the third skill, another 5-turn cooldown. Ignores invul for 1 turn. Up to 30% battery for self. And damage modifier 50% against threat to humanity for 1 turn. Not the most common trait out there, as people probably know, but, you know. Because most of the time you won't get that damage mod. I feel like it's just an okay skill. I wish that ignore invul was for 3 turns, honestly. I think that would have been fair and not be broken at all. But oh well, it's just an okay skill, I would say. Helps with the MP uptime as well, I suppose. And maybe usually is used to get her like going with the MPs, if anything. I guess it is, yeah, Paul, worth noting that most foreigners do have this trait. And in case people don't know, foreigners are actually effective against foreigners, but I still wouldn't really recommend it for a lot of times. You might as well just bring an alter ego for full class advantage. But you could bring, like, if you want the double-edged sword matchup, you could absolutely bring a foreigner against a foreigner, but, you know, you would be probably smarter to bring an alter ego. Anyway, the foreigner passive, I like it, it's good, it's basic, so it's always a 2 stars per turn, and then the rank defines of how much debuff res you get. It's not a big skill anyway, so even a low rank like D is still, it's not even that far from like a high rank one. But it's a nice passive, it's just, stars are always nice to have. Wow, first sneeze. There it is. Oof, maybe a second one is gonna happen soon as well. Well, you guys have the emote now at least. Okay. Anyway, second passive, Star Generation. This is the one she gets from her Assassin version, right? Doesn't make that much sense here, honestly. It makes a lot of sense in the Assassin version, but it helps a little bit, but it's a bit misplaced here. But it's a bonus, I guess. Independent Action A is great if she had better crit potential, but, you know, it can be alright. Riding A, again, from her, you know, I assume Assassin counterpart mostly. It's only 1 quick, but at least it's a 4-hitter, so it's not the end of the world. Right, Moon Cancer bonus, good joke. The MP actually has been buffed, which is now... This is a funny thing about it, though. Okay, first of all, it's a good amount of damage, and the OC is actually not bad. It's a 1-turn attack buff before damage, base 20%. But now, the base... The normal modifier was buffed to 200%. That's on the high end of damage mods for MP. Against Saber. So this is actually funny. Not a lot of people know this. In fact, I didn't know about it either until I saw the numbers. Her MP at MP1, for instance, does more damage against the Saber than MP5 Kuro, who is known for like a hard-hitting MP as well. Like, can you believe that? Can you believe that? It's true. It's actually at MP1, she does more damage against the Saber with her MP than MP5 Kuro does. I'm not joking. I saw the numbers. It is kind of silly. That's just MP1. Sadly, again, it's only for the MP, so I still don't think she is a great option. Like, you probably still want to pick an archer against Sabers. But if you want the fattest MP against Sabers, well, this is basically it. Because it's not like a 1-turn buff, so even her follow-up face cards won't get the bonus. She's just gonna be neutral hitting them anyway. But hey, the MP at least fucking nukes. Right? There you go. So that's cool. She's in an interesting spot. Like, she's actually a pretty solid... She's like a 4-star version of Yang a lot of the times, which is still not bad by any means, right? Jax is molding because Kuro is called bad, maybe, if I'm guessing. She's still alright, honestly. Despite I don't really love her skills, and the MP is mostly good against Sabers. At least against Zergs, with the upgrade it still does decent damage, even if you can't get the damage mod. I think it's either B plus or A, honestly. What do you guys think? This is what, honestly, I think this is one of the harder ones for me to place, if anything. It's one of these two. A+ is too high in my opinion, at least. Like, she has a good card tab at least, which I like. We can maybe justify an A, honestly. She's still great against Zerks. I wouldn't really bring her against neutrals. Some of the foreigners you can actually have cases for neutral stuff. Her, I would not bring against neutrals. But Zerks, she's really good, and she can be a solid option against Sabers as well, but, you know, you might still want to go with Archer. Well, she's already seen an MP buff, Chocolate. Which is the only reason why I think A is kind of fair anyway. If she didn't have the MP buff, she would be one of these two, but with that, I think she's here. So there you go. I think I'm going to settle with A, at least for now. We get another foreigner and another Saba face. And is this the... yeah, it's the only other welfare in the list. Not a whole lot in this one. We got Mixa, aka Mysterious Idol X Altar. Etchan as an idol foreigner. Yeah, that's the thing. From the Waltz collab. So what is she? AoE quick DPS, not a farmer by any means. She can't even loop, so forget about that immediately. She's there just for deeps. But I'm at least happy to report that she's not a bad DPS by any means. Free MP5 obviously helps a lot, but yeah. Attack 9k around, which is under average for a 4-star, sadly. It's not as good as like XX that we saw just now. Deck is a double buster, double quick, I think is good because she has crit potential. And with the double quick, she can still do a full quick chain with the MP. Can't really comment too much about the gains itself. So I haven't used her that much, sadly. I mostly used her during the event, and that was a while ago. But at least for the MPs, it's like, considering she can't really loop, I assume they're not amazing. Maybe that's just the MP being misleading, though. The face cards might actually have decent generation, looking at the numbers, honestly. Yeah, they look actually alright. But I could be wrong. Anyway, first skill, self quick and buster up 3 times 3 turns, 30%. And then 1 turn evasion, or 1 attack evasion, 3 turns, 5 turn cooldown. It's okay. Nothing groundbreaking. Of these kinds of skills, I would say it's about average. Just around average. I would prefer obviously 3 turn buffs, but it is what it is. At least it has some flexibility too. Now, second skill, up to 100% crit damage for 1 turn on a 4 turn cooldown. A lot of these happen to be a 5 turn cooldown, but hers is a 4, so I guess above average in that sense. And then mechanical damage for 3 turns, 50%. So if you are fighting mechanical, it's a great uptime. 3/4 of the time, you have that damage mod at 50%, so... Granted, mechanical enemies, not super common, especially for bosses, but... yeah, I guess if we're talking Olympus now, then, you know, maybe an argument could be made, but yeah. I would say it's an okay skill still, because of the big crit damage being not on a 5 turn cooldown, which is better than average. Third skill, it's just a better charisma. How much better? Not much. It's a 20% attack up 3 turns for the team with a 5 turn cooldown, and then as a bonus, the team gets up to a 2k heal. So there you go. It's just a better charisma, a bit. So overall, her skill set, at least it's full on offensive, you know? So there's that. So, you know, her damage potential still isn't bad. It's alright as a whole. Foreigner passive is always nice. Madness Enhancement C is actually okay because she has double busters. A bit of more debuff rest from her unique debuff rest passive. Now, some foreigners actually do have this case, and she's one of them. They have the best case scenario of having Berserker as the repent skill, which is obviously the best case scenario for the class, so that's cool. 30% attack up can be very big. That's big. Now, the MP. First of all, evil damage mod, 150%. Not too bad. Anti-evil is honestly pretty solid. There's a lot of servants that have that on their MP, or even skills, and It's one of the better damage mods in my opinion. And then the OC is also pretty good. Quick up 1 turn before damage, base 20%. Very okay as well, yeah, good. Like, and it's a free MP5 as well, so despite obviously not having a buff, it still hits alright. I wish it has a bit more hits than 4, but it still can generate a decent chunk of stars, I suppose. So yeah. It's actually, I think overall, she's obviously not like a farmer or anything, but as a DPS, she's not a bad option. I feel like we're looking at yet again another A here, if anything. I think she's just alright. She's pretty good. You probably have better options, chances are, when she happens, but she's still an okay option for sure. Don't farm with her though, that's not gonna end well, but DPS, you can absolutely do. Alright, that's it for the welfares, I guess. And in fact, now we get the last 4-star as well, and the first of the pretender classes. We got Hephaestion, aka Faker, aka Spoilers. But, yeah, again, much like with Alter Ego, I have to mention, it's basically the same case. I don't think Pretender is a good class because it's the same but for Knights. If anything, I think Pretender is arguably worse than Alter Ego because I feel like Knight classes have way better DPSs most of the time than Cavalry does. Do you guys agree? So there's even less reason to pick a Pretender for Knight classes than an Alter Ego for Cavalry, right? So I don't think Pretender is a particularly great class. So obviously, if the people don't know, they're the same as Alter Ego, but instead of being anti-cavalry, they're anti-knights. So they still have the same annoying 1.5x on the effective damage. Although obviously if you do bring them against Alter Ego, you get the best case scenario. So they are obviously the best anti-Alter Ego in the game. Sorry Musashi and Kama, I guess Hephaestion might be like the best anti-Alter Ego right now. Fun fact. Now what is she? She's a single target arts DPS. Let's take a look at the numbers. 9.8k attack is on the higher end of 4 stars, but again, because of the class, it suffers a little bit, but at least it's still fairly high, so not too bad. Double Buster, double arts is good. I would have loved to have seen a triple arts, but you know, you'd be surprised. She can still actually spam her MP pretty well. I mean, a lot of the times because of the second skill boosting it a lot as well, but even the face card gains themselves are fairly alright. So she has a pretty spammable MP, which is cool. Now the skills. We got another one of these double buff thingies. So self, arts, and buster up. And now this is just a flat out 3 turn, not just 3 times. It's the same 30%, which is good. The cooldown is 6, so it's not the best. And then you get the special thing where she gains full class advantage against caster for 3 turns, full, like 2.0 attack and 0.5 taken. So that's like that's Rider literally right there. Now it's cool as a concept, but it's useless in my opinion. It's useless. Now you might be saying why. I hope it's obvious, because normally Pretender is a bad class against casters, and this is only up half the time. Unless you're confident that you can 3 turn a fight, then it's fine. But besides that, I would never bring her against a caster. Why would I not just bring a Rider? There's so many amazing Rider DPSs, right? I just don't really get this. I mean, again, I do get it. It's a lore thing. It's definitely a lore thing. Rider would just make so much more sense to bring. They have always the advantage, and they don't have a scuffed... Well, I guess this is still a 2.0 damage modifier, but... like... maybe if you're lacking Riders, maybe then. And maybe if you are capable of speedrunning the boss with her, then yes. But otherwise, it's an awkward thing for gameplay-wise. So overall, it's just an average skill in my opinion, because I'm not really going to put too much emphasis on this. In fact, her best case scenario might be against Lancers, because from what I remember, that's what her append is as well. Anyway, second skill. We finally got the return of Rapid Words, so... I don't remember who the last servant was that has. Was it like Avi Kebron or something? Like many years ago? Maybe someone in between had the... I digress. We finally got it back, I guess. She has it. So an easy MP right there every 7 turns. Very much contributes to her being able to spam the MP pretty well. Also easy enables her to run Black Grail, which again just boosts her damage potential, which I like. I think, no, Kirike, Cersei, whatever you call her, she was before Avikebron, because that was Salem, and Avikebron is last built one. So she was before him. Anyway, I guess if we're talking about the 100% ones, then yes, she's because Avikebron only goes up to 80%. Anyway, she has a taunt as well, because we haven't seen enough of them already. With a 50% defense up for that one turn. So it's actually a pretty good combo, and a 5-turn cooldown is also one of the better taunts out there. Also 30% MP generation for one turn. Great trio of effects if you ask me, kinda. It does come with the demerit of absorbing all of the party's curses to herself. I don't think it's a big deal though. A lot of times there's not going to be any curses, and even if there are, unless you're fighting big chungus, it's not going to be a problem anyway. So yeah, I think it's actually a pretty okay skill. Also, it makes her MP even more spammable because you're going to get those gains from being hit. And because of the massive defense up, you don't really have to worry too much about dying. Even though, yes, it's the same case as Alter Ego, remember, you don't get defensive advantage against your, most used case, which is Knights in this case. But with this 50% defense up on neutral damage, it's still a big cut, so yeah. Oh, I guess it's a different skill. Well, yeah, you're right, I guess. Okay, fair enough. Overall, her skill set is not bad. It's basic, but it's not bad. It kind of works for her playstyle, I feel like. Makes a bit sense. She has independent action. I guess it's actually EX rank, right? For once, it's actually the opposite. It's pretty funny. We've seen these fake outs more, but this is the good kind of fake out because she has the EX version instead of B, what it claims to be. So a good chunk of crit damage permanent is nice to have. She has a unique second passive, which is 10% crit resistance and 10% star gen. I love crit resistance. It's a great effect to have. It's a better version of crit chance down, although it only works for herself, but still, I prefer buffs to debuffs. Star gen, maybe not the biggest thing for her, but it's a bonus. Territory Creation EX though, that's really nice with the double arts and the arts MP. Yes, permanent 12% arts up is really good, and a 10% MP damage passive as well. You can combine that with the Black Grill as well for even more damage. Lancer bonus is good as well because she's a pretender, so maybe that's her best case scenario if anything. And the MP is also not bad. OC is 10% MP damage base for one turn before damage. Not the biggest thing ever, but at least it's before damage. Sadly, the normal effects are after damage. The 10% Buster and Arts res down for 3 turns. But hey, uptime on them is good. And they're bonus normal effects. So I still think the MP itself is also pretty okay. And again, it's fairly spammable. So you can actually take use of this on consecutive MPs, chances are. So gives you even more gains on return. I think she's actually fairly solid. I'm thinking we're looking at yet again another A servant. Just another A servant, if anything. I still don't think Pretender is all that great of a class, but, she might just be like the #1 alter ego counter right now, if anything. Mostly because we only got 2 Pretenders and the other one is not an amazing DPS, sadly. Some people are saying A+, but I feel like I kind of want to keep her in A, honestly, still. Although it's worth noting that she's actually permanent, which, is cool, because it's maybe a bit easier to get some MP levels then. Do you guys really think I should put her in A+? I don't know. That's a tough call. I feel like I want to place her in A for now, though. We'll maybe come back to this, right? Maybe this is the one we're going to talk about when we do the final adjustments, I think. I think I'll just leave her there for now when we get a bit more like comparison and whatnot. Although obviously there's not a lot of Pretenders, but still. Yeah. For now. She stays there. Can't promise you it'll change, but yeah. I guess, yeah, that's it for the 4 stars, right? Done. Now we move on to the probably the most controversial parts. Not this next servant in particular, maybe as well, but I'm talking 5 stars, of course, SSRs, if you will. We're gonna start with a pretty, well-liked one, I guess. So I have a feeling there's gonna be some angry comments after this. But anyway, we got Melt. A pretty famous one among alter egos, I guess. She's an OG, of course. Single target quick DPS. There you go. Well, let's look at numbers. 11.6k attack is just above average for an SSR, but sadly not the best value because of the alter ego class modifier. But hey, could be a lot worse, I suppose. Double Buster, double Quick deck, I think is very good because she has crit potential and a quick MP, so she can still do a full quick chain with this in some cases. So I think the deck at least makes sense. MP game, from what I remember, also isn't bad at all because she tends to crit like fairly often as well. Despite alter ego not having the best base absorb, it's not horrible by any means, and she herself can generate a decent chunk of stars with the correct chain as well. First skill, self-evasion, 2 attacks, 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. Not too shabby. And a 15, yeah, 50 would be cool. 15 star bomb on max rank, so it's okay. Again, slightly awkward, but at least the evasion is also a bit more flexible. It's not like a 1-turn evasion. I do think a 2-hit, 3-turn evasion is better than a 1-turn evasion, personally. Only in very rare cases would you get more use out of a 1-turn evasion if you get hit like 3 times. So, yeah, it's an alright skill for sure. Second skill is the fun one that has seen a pretty cool buff. So, you know, you still get the 30% attack up for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. And also, there is the demerit, sadly, though, that you do reduce your own defense when you attack by 10% for 3 turns, which can actually make a difference sometimes. But now with the buff, it's cool. It's actually really cool. So before the damage lands on face card, and this applies to any normal attack, including extra attack, not every card that she has but the MP card, you get 15% crit damage for 3 turns before the hit lands. Obviously for extra it's kind of relevant because extra will never crit anyway, but it still applies this buff to you for 3 turns. So if you get some good chains, you can actually stack her crit damage very high. And because it applies before damage as well, it's even better because, you know, it's an instant use potentially if you start with crits as well. It's actually a pretty damn strong skill now on a 5-turn cooldown. Yeah, pretty damn strong. It's a pretty damn cool buff, I say. Defense down is not on hit, it is 1 time? Oh, you're right. I'm stupid. I was thinking of but yeah, you're right. Minor correction. It's just a 1-time defense down when you use the skill. 10%. Yeah, it would be a lot worse if it was on hit. Yeah, thanks for correcting. I was just too focused on the buff version. Yeah, it's not a big deal then, honestly. Yeah, it's not a big deal. So it's definitely a great skill. Third skill also has been buffed. So first of all, AoE MP damage down enemies for 1 turn, up to 50%. So with a good timing on this skill, you can actually use it to mitigate a lot of damage. You don't have to have like an invul necessarily. If you like stack some debuffs or defensive buffs on yourself, this can actually make a difference. But I have a feeling most people will just kind of disregard that anyway and just use it for the offensive side, which is MP damage for herself for 2 turns, 30%. Now when you do use it though, you have to be a bit careful because the other members of your party get minus 50% MP damage for that turn you use it on, which is a considerable MP damage down. So you gotta be careful if she's not your only DPS. You gotta time this a bit better. Sometimes you can sadly do it though, but it is what it is. 6-turn cooldown though. Don't think it's all that amazing. It can be good though. It can be really good, but a lot of the times I don't think it's like amazing. But it has potential. Definitely potential is there. Magic Resist B is nice. Writing B is very nice. If anything, I was hoping for higher, but at least B is still very solid. Independent A is, well, it's even more crit damage, I guess. And Goddesses is for even more debuff. Rest is very solid. With this, she has like, what, 40% resistance? I mean, come on. That is just nice. Whoa. Append is against Lancers, so just forget about it. Now the MP. I don't like the MP because both the nice effects are after damage. At least the OC is not bad because it's still a 3-turn quick buff, 10% base, because, you know, sometimes you can do consecutive MPs. But man, the buff removal after damage, man, if she was designed this day, it would be before damage. It's one of these sad cases where because she's an early servant, it's like this. It's just, it is what it is. The effects are good though, but it's so awkward. It's so awkward. But the effects are fine at least. But without a buff, it's still not the most hard-hitting MP out there, because you gotta keep in mind, sure, she has, like, you know, a bit of attack and MP damage. Being an alter ego, a quick-based one, her MP is still not, like, massive on damage potential or anything like that, so... yeah. Now, I know many people want to see her in EX, but I can't do it. I can't do it. But I feel like A+ might be pretty fair. EX is too much for me though. She's quick based, and quick is definitely on the weakest card type right now for DPS, because, you know, support options are not great, and having to use I mean, obviously you can still use other supports with quick as well, but it's not like max value then either. And she's also an alter ego, which, again, there's going to be so many people debating me about this, and I'm just going to not even bother arguing. Like, everyone can have their own opinions, but I'm still firmly of the opinion that alter ego is just not an amazing class for DPS. It's a versatile one that I absolutely acknowledge. Very versatile. But a lot of the times you might not need them. EX if she gets MP buff? Yeah, I would probably say so, yeah. They don't even have to even... I mean, in this day and age, it would not just be a damage buff. They would definitely add or change something. So I would say an MP buff would probably make her EX, yes. I would probably be on that boat, yeah. But hey, she's still a very solid single target DPS. Just not like EX in this day and age. Anyway, next alter ego from the same event, of course, because they started with a fucking bang when they released these new classes. We got OG Seshoid Kiara. We saw summer version on part 1. Now we got the OG alter ego. So, AoE, arts, DPS, and a farmer. And I'm pretty happy to report she's actually pretty good for both. Not bad at all. 11.6k attack is, again, it's pretty much the same as Melt, right? So it's above average for an SSR, but because of the class mod, it's still not the best thing out there. But hey, again, it's not bad by any means. Double arts, double buster deck is okay. She has a bit of crit potential, mostly with the third skill, but not a whole lot. Obviously, triple arts would be the best, but, you know, it's not bad. Now, her base gains, I'm pretty sure about this because I have used her a bit. They're actually not that great. Her face cards don't generate a whole lot, sadly. But she has other ways of doing, like, especially in farming, it's irrelevant anyway, because her MP does enough. And her skills also help a lot, so it's not that bad. Stargen, though, kind of forget about it. Now, the skill set has seen a lot of improvements, including the MP as well. So the first skill is a single target debuff rest down, 1 turn, 100%, which just makes it easier. If you land this, you're basically going to land all of her other stuff as well for the turn, including this minus 30% arts rest down for 1 turn. Also, her 50% batteries here, and they improve the cooldown to 6. So on a 6-turn cooldown, this is a very good skill. Very good. It is a bit annoying that it's not AoE for the arts rest down though, because she herself is an AoE servant. That always kind of bothered me. Like, Sherlock got an AoE arts rest down despite not even having an AoE MP. It's just kind of interesting. But hey, it's still a great skill. Oh shit, that just reminds me. I'm gonna thank some subs real fast. Sami, thanks for the 11 months on tier 2. Ambrosiac with the brand new sub. Good name with the 33, and just now Tigris, thanks for gifting 3 subs as well. Thank you guys. Very nice of you. Much appreciated. Yeah, good skill. Second skill has also been buffed, and man, that's a great buff. Ooh, I love that effect. So first of all, guaranteed AoE drain. Love that. Buff adds a full-on AoE buff strip. Not one, not just attack buffs or every buff that you can remove. Every buff. Boom! It's gone. It's Eva. It's the same as Yvonne. and then a 30% defense down on AoE for 30% on a 6-turn cooldown. Strong, so strong. This is really good too. Like, every buff that can be removed from every enemy is gone. So good. And the AoE drain, man, such a nut skill, even to this day. I agree, it's an EX tier skill, absolutely. So first, already 2 amazing skills. This one is not necessarily amazing, but hey, it totally makes sense with her MP and the rest of her kit as well. So it's the standard 1-turn invul on a 6-turn cooldown, but 50% crit damage, 50% MP gain, this is actually pretty big, 50% debuff res, and 50% healing for 1 turn. And the best thing about it is that she can actually kind of use all of these effects herself. Even the healing, especially with the MP buff. So, like, you might say 3k damage yourself. Oh my god, that's like a big demerit. It is not. It is not. Like, even before the MP was buffed, she could mostly deal with it herself, but post MP buff, this might as well not be here anymore. So the skill itself is not the best, but in her case, like for her in particular with these effects, it is actually very strong, all things considered. Now, passives. She has a unique crit damage passive. A bit more crit damage here with the mental debuff res, and, you know, a fun bonus in insta-kill res, I guess. Now, this is so good. Like, people always focus on her unique bonusing as rule, but this skill right here is stupid. Permanent humanoid defense 16%. You gotta keep in mind, 99% of servants in this game are humanoids. What? Permanent 16% damage or defense up against like every servant in the game minus a handful. What? How broken is this passive? How broken is this? So good for CQs. And then obviously with this, she is actually a possible option against rulers. I would not really recommend it though, because it's still not a full attack advantage and she doesn't even get any defensive advantage. So you're still way better off running an Avenger. But it's a fun passive to have and gives her more flexibility, I guess. But yeah, this is the passive people should be focused on, not this one. This is stupid broken, okay? Now, the third append as well. Yeah, I was about to get to that. Plays as well to this. So again, with this, it's even more viable to bring her against rulers. I still kind of would recommend Avenger, but yeah. Anyway, the MP has been buffed as well. And man, it's one of those absolutely ridiculous MPs that has the godly normal effect combo of both ignoring invul and defense. So hey, you're gonna get hit by Kiara unless you have Castoria protecting you. You're gonna get hit by Kiara, whether you like it or not. And with the damage buff, they also buffed the OC. Like, look at this. They not only buffed the healing, but it's more than double. It's a base 5k heal now. Like, this is a 3k damage to her. So, like, even if this healing up wasn't there, 1 MP alone already heals more than this does. And if you have this active, a base 100% MP is a 7.5k heal. And she has tankiness because of this too. Like, she's a utility monster that's very hard to kill, and her damage ain't bad either. And, again, now is the first time I can bring this up again. Again, this will be in the description in the video later if you're watching this on YouTube. She can run Black Grail with a Castoria setup, and if you look at the numbers, these are solid numbers for farm. 100k plus on MP1 across the board. That is good farming, man. That is some good farming. Even as an alter ego, like, yeah. So, I debated about it a little bit, but I have to place her in EX. I have to. Great farm, and really damn good on CQs. It just makes sense. She has to be here. Even though, yes, alter ego is not the best class, she just does so much, and she does it all so well too, so, yeah. Assuming BBG is not fair. Well, it's not a massive difference, even if you were to run a single Black Grail. The numbers would still be good. Not that high, but still they would be good. But yes, you making a point of assuming BB, it is unfair. But yes, it's just a reference, because that's what the form uses. Okay. Very cool. To be noted for mixed farming as well. JP looked like they like to mix class recently, so that's a big advantage for Alter Ego. Yeah, I guess that's worth noting too. So there you go. For farming, Alter Ego might even look better than what they used to. There you go. Alright, next one. Now this is a big unbiased moment there, but yeah, sadly not as good as Kiara, I can already tell you that much. But hey, here we go. One of my waifus, Okita Altar, the OG, not the summer version, but the OG Alter Ego. AoE, Buster, DPS, and actually a farmer. Maybe not the best in either, but she can do both, I suppose. Now, she has a really high 12.4k attack, so that's already easily the highest on all of these stuff. But again, even with the Alter Ego modifier, it's not the best. But, you know, at least that compensates somewhat well. Double Buster, double Quick Deck makes a lot of sense with her, you know, MP and her kit, I would say. And as is with every Okita, her generation is really good. Even Stargen is actually pretty noteworthy, I would say. So at least upstairs-wise, she's, like, amazing. Like, all of this stuff you're looking at right here, like, amazing. Just flat-out amazing. Sadly, maybe not as amazing elsewhere, but, you know, if we only look at this part, I think this would already be an easy EX. But, yeah, we have to look at other stuff as well. Anyway, first skill. She has, again, one of these double card types. So it's a 3-turn, 30% double card type up, them being quick and bust at this point. But it's the slightly weaker version, because some of these are actually 5-turn cooldowns. This is a 6-turn cooldown, so you could do better than this. You could definitely do better than this. Yeah, not bad, but could do better. Second skill has been buffed. This was the good joke. The first buff, it's a good joke. First of all, 30% battery. 500% absorb for 1 turn. 6-turn cooldown though, so not the best uptime on that absorb either. And then the buff adds a 20% attack up for 3 hits, 3 turns. Why is it 20% when it's only 3 hits, 3 turns? Why? Why? They gave so bad buffs in that event. Remember that Mao buff as well? What? That doesn't do much at all. I mean, it's nice that she has an attack up, so it's a bit more mixed buffs, but it's not a whole lot, is it? It's not a terrible skill all in all, but this buff just confuses me. It should be way more than 20% if they want to keep it on 3 hits. Anyway, at least, you know what? Yeah, it's worth noting that for farm, at least, it's a bit better, because all of these 3 hits will go into your 3 MPs. So it actually makes... Because you got to keep in mind as well, if you're going to run the Buster supports for farming, they can't offer you attack up. So having attack up is actually pretty valuable. So at least for that, it's good, but I still wish it was higher than that for numbers. Now, this buff was way better. Now, this was a good buff. Okay, now it's a 3-turn MP damage up, which again goes really well with the Buster farming. 30% ain't too shabby. 5-turn cooldown, also not too bad for DPS. Self-overcharge by 2 stages for 1 time 3 turns. Now, this would be a lot better if the OC was before damage, but sadly it isn't, so it's mostly for challenge quests, I guess. Won't be really relevant for farming. And then also they improved the evasion as well to 2 attacks or 3 turns. So on a 5-turn cooldown, this is actually now a great skill. So at least she has 1 really great skill, I would say. How about that? At least she has 1 great skill. Makes sense for both farming and DPS. Magic's B is okay. Independent action is not bad, because she generates a decent chunk of stars. And the Alter Ego Absorb is okay, and she has an Absorb here as well, I guess. Not a great uptime, though. Bonus against casters is alright. Again, it works for the Alter Ego stuff, so it's not useless. And then the MP. No other normal effects, and the OC is Buster is down. It is a good chunk of 30% for 3 turns, but it is after damage. So it is a weak MP, yes. It is definitely a weak MP. Now, if we take a look at numbers right here, I'm pretty sure she's here as well. Yes, she is. Okay, so you do need double Witch Oberon to even do the farming, and you can't run from 0, obviously. And the numbers themselves are like Obviously, turn 3 is really good, but besides that, it's a bit lacking. It's a bit lacking still, huh? Yeah. So she's still not the best farm. She can obviously do farming, but she's not like the best option ever. And for challenge quests, she's not bad by any means, but if you're not running like multi-class enemies, you probably want to pick cavalry instead. As much as I like her, she could, like, if they ever add a good MP buff to her, she would be so amazing. Like, just give her the good damage buff and add like a new normal effect that's really good as well. She could be so much higher. That's all she needs. That's just all she needs. But as is, she just isn't right there yet. I still think she's a B+ though, because of Buster supports greatly enabling her. And she can do farming, and she can do great DPS as well. Not amazing, but great. But that's, I'm not sure if I could even put her in A, honestly. I'm not sure if I can do that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's worth noting, Rish. It's not in my criteria, but according to Rish, you can still loop majority of cavalry 90+ notes at MP2. So if this was MP2, I would probably at least consider A, easily. But my criteria is MP1, so... there you go. Sorry, sad to see my waifu not super high, but you know, it is what it is. Just give her a nice MP buff. That's all she needs. Please, lasagna, please. You like Okitas, right? You like them. I've seen that. Okay, just a nice MP buff, and she's so much higher immediately. So much higher. Please, I'm begging you. All right, next alter ego. It's a pretty basic one, but a pretty cool one. Pretty good one. You got Sitonai. Single target arts DPS. Arts is nice. Attack 11.6k, just above average. So overall, maybe not the best attack out there with the alter ego modifier. But you know, whatever. Double buster, double arts deck. I would like to see triple arts, but I don't think they were gonna give her that. So I guess this is okay too. Gains, honestly, are not amazing on average. Obviously, depending on your buffs and setups and crits and etc., they can look really good, but on average, they're not that good from what I remember using her. Both MP generation and star generation, but hey, I guess supports can definitely help a lot, because her MP is still somewhat spammable, luckily. But on her own, she's not very impressive for gains. Self-invo, 1 turn, 6 turn cooldown, so it's the standard. But the secondary effect at least is a defensive one as well, which I like. I like that it's both defensive effects, so it's a party 500 damage cut for 3 attacks, 3 turns. It's not a massive one, but, you know, at least I like the synergy between defensive effects. So, yeah. It's not a bad skill by any means. It's an alright skill. Second skill, her self-arts up 3 turns, 30% 5-turn cooldown, so it's a pretty standard one buff when it comes to that, but it also gives her a debuff immune for 1 time 3 turns. It's a nice bonus, I guess. Pretty flexible that it's 3 turns as well. So it's like a just above average self-arts buff, I would say. Not amazing, but just above average. And then the skill that I absolutely hate. I hate the skill. Because I'm not sure if it was in a video at one point, but I literally always double miss these. So you have an up to 80% chance to get 20% attack up for 3 turns and 10 stars per turn for 3 turns. Both nice effects to have. At least the 30% battery is guaranteed. But I literally always double miss 80%. I don't know how it's possible. Every time. I always miss double 80. It makes no sense, but it happens all the time. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, if you do land everything on a 6-turn cooldown, in my opinion, it's a good skill. It's definitely a good skill. And luckily it's 80% and not 60. Well, it's 60 if you have level 1, but yeah. Sometimes a bit unreliable. But if you land it, it's great. Definitely great. What do you mean, dude, you thought she was a Nordic servant? Well, she has a bit of Nordic cut, but Sitonai herself is an you know, Ainu lore thing, and that's Kamui right there. You know, that's why she's Kamui. That's the main part about her, basically. Anyway, Magic Wrist C is nice to have. This is really good. 10% perm arts, yes. A bit of debuff success rate, doesn't hurt with the MP, I suppose. And then God Assistance for even more debuff risks. Good. Overall, I would say great passives. Basic but great. Saber attack, good joke, love it. 10 out of 10 with teleparties if I went to them. MP, here we go. There's only one normal effect, and it's a Dragon Drain. Dragon is not the rarest thing out there, but not the best normal effect. OC has 2 debuffs after damage. 20% defense down and crit chance down for 3 turns on base. I think both are very great effects. I wish the defense down was before damage, but oh well. Still a pretty solid MP, I would say. If they ever buff this could be like a god tier single target MP, especially if they add something. But right now, it's a pretty solid MP. I like these debuffs, even if the defense down is after damage. Like, again, she's very basic, but she works really well as an arts DPS, in my opinion. I feel like an A+ is very fair. She's great. There's not much wrong about her. I just hate the RNG, but yeah, she's actually good. Especially with Castoria. Just pretty good uptime on that MP, I would say. I think it's even better than Melt. Pretty sure. A lot of the times, so there you go. Her face cards are not as good as Melt though, but she has a better card type, at least. Anyway, I guess we're still keeping up with these CCC related servants, right? Because next up is, it's a fun one. It's King Protea. Gao. There she is. AoE Buster DPS, and I guess I should still mention she can farm, but it's kind of a meme. So I'm just gonna probably just stick to, evaluating her as like a DPS instead. Now, 12.8k attack is ridiculously high. That is insanely high, so that's a good start. Even with the alter ego modifier, it's still very noteworthy, much like Okita Altar, I suppose. Even higher than her. Double Buster, double Arts deck. Am I the only one who would have kind of liked to have seen a triple Buster deck on her? I think that would have been interesting. Because even with double arts, her gains are not good. They're not good by any means. They're actually still pretty bad from what I remember. They should have just gone full on. Like, she's literally slamming people. Why would she not have triple Buster? I don't get it. It would make sense lore-wise as well. Anyway, yeah, gains are not good. But at least the attack is super high. The HP could be higher, but obviously it doesn't matter too much when we see the skill number 1, right? But, yeah. In that case, it's good that the attack is high. Speaking of which, it has also been buffed, which is cool. So, you get a regen buff that lasts for 10 turns. You can't sadly stack it, though. So it's a 10-turn cooldown, 10-turn active effect. So it's basically 100% uptime. But the effect varies on how good it is, I guess, depending on the turn. So every turn, you get max HP up to 10 stacks, up to 4k HP per stack. So you can do the math right there. That's a lot of bonus HP. And with the buff, you also get, MP damage resistance. And every stack is worth 8%. So on the best turn ever, you can have 80% MP damage resistance on that final 10th turn of the active. So she can actually tank an MP. That's kind of funny. So I think the buff makes a lot of sense because it's a defensive skill to begin with. Now she's just that much tankier, I guess. So for the most of the fight, she's actually very tanky because she has a lot of HP, and the MP damage. Like a lot of you might not need it that much because you kind of have to protect your teammates as well. But at least it saves you maybe a bit more of your cooldowns because she might not need like protection from an MP depending on what turn of this buff it is. So. It's an interesting skill, and obviously this skill has another effect which we'll see right now. So it's not just for protection, you could actually use it as a cannon, I suppose. So first of all, second skill, reduce your own cooldowns by 1. Great to have on a 5-turn cooldown as well, not bad by any means. Now, and then if it sacrifices all those growth stacks, you get 20% MP gauge per stack. There you go. You can't choose how many, so even if you get surplus, it will consume them all. So there it is. It will definitely make her more like fragile, but if you want more offense, then you just pop this, I guess, to get an easy MP most likely in a lot of cases. No, it only takes the stacks, Armuds. I'm pretty sure it only takes the stack. It doesn't remove the regen buff, right? It doesn't. It only takes the buffs you get from the regen buff, so you can still keep, like, let's say you have, this is turn 3, and you have 2 stacks of this, right? You use this, you get 40% MP gauge, and you still have this, and you can start from, let's say, again, next turn you get first stack, second stack, so it still stays like that. It doesn't, it would be so annoying if it removed the one that generates these buffs, so it only takes the stacks generated from it, so, yeah. Wait, does it actually remove, wait, what? Does it remove the generator? Oh no. Is that... Oh, it does! Yeah, it's both the growth and the... Oh, no. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so this is a bit more awkward then. Ooh, that is an... Ooh. Yeah, it's a huge trade-off in that case. Because remember, the cooldown on this is massive. Even with this reducing your cooldown by 1. Yeah, because chances are you're going to use this early on, because otherwise you're just going to waste a lot of battery. That's still a lot of downtime for a 10-turn cooldown. Ooh, okay. I actually did not know that. Ooh. Yeah, so maybe you actually want to keep the... It is annoying, because then a lot of the times this is kind of dead then, huh? It's pretty annoying. Not good. Anyway, at least her version of Monster Strength is like one of the best in the game. Still not amazing by any means, but it's good. So it's a 40% attack up. Self, 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. Most of the Monster Strengths in this game are just bad. This one at least is good. So, there you go. Does buff removal resistance stop it even though 500%? Well, you just answered your own question. Unless you can get 500% resistance, no. And most of the effects that you get are up to 100%, so I don't think so, man. I don't think so. You can't really stop this from happening. That's too much to counter. It's just gonna eat the 100% you get from your allies or whatever. Even if you had 2, that's only 200%. That's never gonna work. It would always go through anyway. It's annoying. This makes me even more sad she doesn't have a triple buster deck. This Madness Enhancement A+. There's a lot of buster up. She should totally have triple buster in her deck. Or at least make her gains better, because they're not amazing. Crit damage? It's okay, I guess. I think I'm gonna sneeze again. Fuck me. There it is again. 2 already. Okay. Well, I guess this is the counter argument, because she does have the max rank, you know, territory creation, so at least those arts cards are a bit better. But I would kind of still like to see triple buster instead, because it would make her do buster chains way easier for more damage as well. Oh, didn't I? You know what? I'll address this for now. Apparently the songs died. Did you just remove everything, Jax? Oh no, I think you did. No, you didn't. Okay, I can resume this. No, I can't. Okay, now I can. Okay. Hopefully this is the next song. I don't know. Anyway, it's playing something. If you're watching this on YouTube, ignore that. Debuff res, very high on that goddess rank A, so very good. 25%. Love it. Overall, pretty good passives as well. Append is useless. Well, not useless, but unless you have want to use her in every battle, this is irrelevant. Then the MP. Now there's another gimmick for the growth one, not just for consuming them, which again, because of this you kind of want to hold on to them even more. So sadly this doesn't stack, so if you just have 1 growth buff, you get the 20% buster after 1 turn before damage. So it's not like you get 20% for each. Well, that would be crazy. That would be so crazy. So it doesn't matter how many stacks of it you have, just having 1 and that's it. And then also the OC is the same thing. So another 20% buster up for 1 turn before damage. So at least the MP can still do a bit of damage. Especially when you have the 3rd skill active as well, I suppose. She's an interesting case, right? Like, she can be super tanky and hard to kill, but besides that, she doesn't, like... She's not the best damage dealer out there, is she? No. Yeah, what was the bonds? Was it worth mentioning as well? Buster up 20%. 20% attack when you have the buff up. Not worth it. Not worth it for the stats. You might as well just bring a different C. It's a cute C, but not worth. So it's either the same as Okita or lower. I honestly feel like I can't put her above Okita, because at least Okita farms better at least. And they're kind of interchangeable as DPSs, if anything. What do you guys think? A lot of you guys want to see her in A, though. I don't know. Like, this is an MP1 chart as well. She's better for CQs? I don't know about that, honestly. Like, sure, so I'm gonna get biased comments about this, but Okita's skill set after the 2 buff just feels more fluent to me, at least. And she has a way better uptime than King Protea does. Her downtime is pretty sad, I'm not gonna lie. Okita still has Okita numbers for gains as well. Her MP is way more spammable. Okita doesn't have 2 skills? What do you mean? Dude, you're saying Okita doesn't have 2 skills when King Protea literally has a dead skill for a lot of the times? What are you on about? What do you mean? You could actually absolutely use all Okita's skills. They're all useful. This is sometimes very awkward. That's what you're saying? Oh, you're saying... Oh, I get it now. Okay, I'm sorry for the toxicity. Okay, it made it sound like you're saying she does... Okay, you're talking about KP. Okay, ignore that, ignore. I think I can put her higher, but I might be willing to put her here as well. But I can't put her higher than Okita. I just can't do it. And, you know, I'm gonna get biased comments about this. I already know it, but I stand by it from an objective standpoint as well. Yeah, that's true, Will. If you MP with her turn 1, you don't get the bonus buster buff either, because it's a growth buff, not the generator buff. So it's only after turn 1, which again, a bit awkward as well. I stand by this. If anything, I almost would even put her maybe below Okita, but maybe it's too much. I can't put her higher, at least. I just can't do it. There you go. That's it. Speaking of biased moments, hopefully people can agree with me here though, but hey, next one. We got stupid sexy Dolman. Ashia Dolman, there he is. AoE quick alter ego DPS farmer support. He can be classified as all 3, honestly. Definitely. 12.2k attack is great, not as good as Okita Altar or King Protea. Okay, yeah, okay. I agree on this one at least. It's not as good as those 2, but still very high, I would say. Even with the alter ego mod, it's still good. Double quick, double arts deck. I would like to see double buster, double quick, based on his playstyle, but at least his MP uptime is a bit better, because honestly, if you've ever used him, those arts cards can actually generate a ton. Like, if you get an overkill arts crit, it can like almost go from 0 to 100, I'm not joking. So at least in that sense, it's nice to have 2 of those, I guess. Even Stargen is not bad on him, because the quick and the buster and the extra have good hit counts, despite, you know, the base gen not being a great number. So not too bad. Then let's talk about some fun stuff. The skills. Oh man. I have to scroll even more down so you can see this. The first skill. Okay. You want everything? Here's everything. Okay. So on a 6-turn cooldown, what do you get? AoE attack down 3 turns, 20%. Cool. AoE defense down 30%, 3 turns. Cool. Terror 1 time, 3 turns. 40% chance to activate every turn. Cool. Confusion 3 turns. Which this one doesn't even have a 1-time thing. It's... Oh my god, it can even proc more than once. 30% chance for that. And then 3 turns of curses as well, which, you know, for him it's not the best, but for other characters he can actually be a decent support with, like Jacques, for instance, or Van Gogh. That's a very packed skill, man. It's like you want to see debuffs, you press this skill, bam, every enemy has like a billion debuffs. And a lot of these are really good debuffs. Like the first 3, terror, defense down, attack down, really good debuffs. Just really good. Great skill. Top tier skill even. Second skill, it's his guts. So it would be a standard guts, which is like a one-time guts on 5 turns for 7 turn, but not only is it not a one-time guts, it's a 2-time guts. He has 2 gutses because balance. Then it's an AoE evil crit damage and AoE chaotic crit damage for 3 turns, 50% each. And it includes himself as well on both. So he himself at least will get 100% crit damage for 3 turns. And this is why he has that support value as well. Because, you know, there's a lot of chaotic evil servants, and especially one that we'll see later that can definitely make use out of this as well. So that's a great skill. Sadly, it is a bit awkward because it's tied to the guts, so the uptime is not the best, being 3 turn on a 7 turn cooldown, but it makes him really hard to kill as well, having that 2-time guts on 5 turn uptime. You can absolutely pop this again once you lose these as well. I've done it many times. Great skill as well. And then the third skill, another high cooldown, but what do you get? 80% battery. So if you have the append already, that's literally 0 to 100 from just that. Nothing else needed. And even if you don't, it's not like 20% is much to add. And then you get the same as the previous one, but this time for attack. So it's plus 40% up to if you're evil and chaotic, which again he is. So he himself gets 100% crit damage from his skills and 40% attack up. And another curse on the enemies. This one actually, because he doesn't have a lot of curses, and he even has the amplifier. There are cases when his curses can actually still do a meaningful slap. I'm not obviously talking about crazy damage, but I'm talking like 20, 30k in some crazy scenarios, which is not nothing, but, you know, I'm not saying dots are good, they're not, but, you know, it's worth noting that he can at least stack a bunch of this shit. Yeah, still an amazing skill though. Big cooldown, but I think it's well worth it because the effects are so good. Like, is this a loaded kit or what? Like, Jesus. This man is just skill central. Passives. There's a lot of these too. Okay, this arts up is really nice because, again, his double arts is pretty solid with this MP gain base on the triple hitters. Not too bad. Debuff success rate is up. Not the most meaningful thing because he only, like, I mean, I guess it is because, yeah, never mind, it's really good. I blanked out for a second. Of course it's really good. Not just for curses, he does like other debuffs as well. Of course it's really nice to have. Magic Rosé is just great. His unique version of the divinity is a bonus instant kill success rate up, which honestly is not just a meme. If you actually MP with him against like bronze enemies, he's like guaranteed to always insta kill them. I'm not joking. I've never seen him not insta kill bronze enemies, and he can even do it sometimes on silver and gold normal enemies as well. Not that it's a big focus, but it's something worth mentioning. And then the unique passive he has, which is more MP gain when he takes damage, which is just another nice bonus to have, I guess. Pretty solid chunk increased as well, especially if he gets hit by a multi-hitter. You can see the bar move quite a bit. So overall pretty great passive set too. Alter ego bonus doesn't really matter too much though. And then the MP, this is probably the weakest part of his kit, is if anything. So it's just AoE damage, instant kill after damage, which is good again, because, you know, you can still kind of do a bit of farming as well. Then you get a third curse for 5 turns, and then the OC is also an amplifier. So with these, all of these, you can actually still see a bit of curse damage from him coming in. Don't expect miracles, but, you know, it's not like nothing. Still probably the weakest part about his kit though. But it's a very spammable MP as well, with the big battery and his gains also being good. And being a 5-hitter on AoE for quick, he can generate a good chunk of stars as well, which is good because he wants to crit anyway. Yeah, this is a man right here. He's just really loaded. Now, I debated about this, and maybe some people will call bias, but He's not about the MP. He's like, if you run him out as a DPS, he's about crits. And he's very easy to keep alive as well. And he offers a lot of utility as well in the form of all his nice debuffs. And he's a great support as well for your teammates. Especially with Van Gogh, it's kind of ridiculous. You'll see that later. But yeah, I just think he's amazing. He's amazing. Now, obviously people are going to be like, oh, you could just say EX because your Dolman is really good. Well, fair enough. But, you know, I still think he's amazing. I think he's amazing. And, you know, that's that. Right. Next one. This is a really difficult one. This one I had to think about a lot. Let's just say that. All right. The latest alter ego to be added into the game and the final one in this list. We got Bazette. There she is. She's a single target / AoE quick DPS / farmer. She's all of that, I guess. I suppose. 12.8k attack is super high. That's great. Love it. HP isn't the highest, which honestly can kind of be a problem. If you know how she works as a DPS, I would have loved to see maybe a bit higher HP, honestly. But oh well. Anyway, double buster, double quick, I think makes a lot of sense because, you know, her MP type, and she has crit potential too. In fact, pretty decent crit potential. So there you go. I think the deck makes a lot of sense. Can't comment too much about the gains from... I haven't used her too much yet, but from what I remember, they're actually pretty good. 6 hit quicks are no joke. Yeah, that's really good. So, yeah. Anyway, first skill. It's another one of these 30% quick and buster for 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown, which again, that's if we only had those first 2 lines, that's the same skill Okita has, which would be below average. But hey, she also get 30% crit damage for 3 turns. Nice bonus. And caster damage, 30% 3 turns. Now, unlike Hephaestion, here it makes sense. Because she's an alter ego, not a pretender. So you can definitely make use out of that caster bonus. So compared to Okitan, I'm just sad because this is so much better. But it is what it is. It's a good skill. Definitely a great skill. Her quick gains are jack level, they're really good. Yeah, it should be pretty obvious, right? Because of a 0.8 modifier with 6 hit quicks. Yeah, they have to be good at that point. Anyway, second skill. Self-battery, 50%. Also absorb, 500% and crit damage, 100%. Sadly, those are only 1 turn on a 6-turn cooldown, so it's not like it's the best uptime ever. Sadly. But it's a good skill regardless, because most 50% batteries are 6-turn cooldown anyway, and they usually don't have this good other effects, so it's still definitely a good skill. I wish the uptime was a bit better on the crit stuff though, because this is a big comparison between Dolman and her in my opinion. I think Dolman is just a bit more consistent with crits. Not a big difference, but I think it's worth mentioning. Anyway, third skill, self-evasion 1 turn on a 5-turn cooldown. So that's already, again, better than the average, which is 6. Also gets a debuff immune for 1 turn. I like the defensive synergy. And a solid 20 star bomb, which, again, can be a bit awkward because sometimes, you know, you're probably going to save this for the evasion because you will need this for the MP. God, you will definitely need this for the MP. You're not just going to pop this for the stars. You will have to use this for the MP. I don't care what you say, you have to. So yeah, sometimes this might not be the best timing, but hey, it's a great skill on a 5-turn cooldown, so. Magicker's B is nice. Riding A is very nice, with her being quick focused. More tickle here, more crit damage, and then if you don't know what this means, it basically means that because the counters on her MP happen after the enemy attacks. If you don't know how offensive buffs in this game works, the ticks happen after your attacks have ended. So before the enemy goes and after you attack, the ticks for attack buffs go down. So that's why she has this unique passive that extends them until the end of the enemy's attacks as well. Because otherwise your MP would be a lot weaker because you would see a lot less offensive debuffs depending on when you use the MP. So it's basically to fix that so it doesn't feel bad. But hey, it also comes with a bonus 5% crit damage, I guess, which is okay. Avenger bonus doesn't really make sense gameplay-wise, but oh well. Then the MP. One of the most unique MPs in the game, right? So first of all, let's start with the OC, because that's an easy one. Self-attack up before damage. 10% base. Not the biggest I've ever seen, but you know, it's an okay OC. Yeah, it's obvious why it's like that, Will. Then a self-taunt for 1 turn. And you get the unique Fragarak counter for 1 turn. Okay. So as you can see, it cannot be blocked by MP seal, buff removal, debuff remover, or buff block. So it's always going to go through. However, if she gets stunned, she will not be countering. That's the, like, some kind of immobilization. Charm, stun, sleep, I guess. Maybe something else. That's like the only counter you have against this. Then she will not be hitting you back. But now, if you don't have that on the enemy, then every time she gets attacked, she does an instant counter between the attacks. Or if she gets targeted by, you know, debuffs. And debuffs also include MP drain, because it's considered debuff, so it doesn't have to be like an actual effect. She also counters on a drain, which is interesting to note, I guess. And also, well, I guess this happened, yeah, with the counters, you do the quick res down 10% 3 turns, which is a very easy thing to stack on her, I suppose. So it just makes the MP even better. I guess that's true, yeah. If you are healed by the enemy, she counters too. Yeah, there you go. If you just get targeted by the enemy, I guess. And then you get a 10-star bomb as well, because why not? But the one thing that's worth noting, which a lot of people know this already, the counters cannot break bars. Because you can't break an enemy during their actions or after their actions. You can only break bars during your actions. So that's why dots can't break bars either, which sometimes can be annoying. But there is the, obviously, people know that she has that speedrun potential, right? Where if you do manage to break a bar, like on the turn you activate her MP, you break a bar with her face cards, let's say with good crits, that works, and then you can prepare the second bar for a break as well. And if it's the last bar, you could kind of go 2 for 1. But it's not the easiest thing to set up. But it's worth noting that I guess she is potentially the best speedrun servant in the game for time attack for those people that care for that. Because she can potentially have the fastest clears of all servants in the game. Just because of that last bar, she's able to do 2 for 1, I guess. So, you know, I'm not going to really put a high amount of emphasis on that, but it's fun to mention. Yeah, I guess I didn't mention it, but yeah, this stars per turn, this 10 stars is per counter. Both the quick res down and the stars are per counter. So if you do like a standard MP with 3 counters, that's a lot of stars and quick res down. So again, nice for her crit bonus, I guess. Does it counter regen MP? It does, yes, I'm pretty sure, because it's considered it's not like Undemite as a flat damage, it's considered a quick hit. And that's why also it's worth noting, I didn't mention, her MP has like a higher modifier, doesn't it? Like it's basically higher because of the way it works, so it's like math, but yeah, it's an interesting case. Now, I have to, yeah, I guess it's AoE, but you know, because it's, even though it's AoE, it's still higher than normal because she basically does it 3 times on the best case, right? So that's how the math works. But now I have to address the elephant in the room. I'm not going to talk about the farming yet, but the DPSing. She can die quite easily, huh? So survival can be an issue. Remember, she always taunts herself with the MP, and the only thing she herself has is a 1-turn evasion. And remember, her HP is a 12k base. And remember, an alter ego is mostly neutral on defense against, you know, their most common use case. So it's not uncommon that she could die from her MP. And if she dies, she also doesn't counter from a death blow either. So I think that can actually be a fairly significant problem. And for quick supports, we don't have great options for protection. Like, you could run Castoria, but that's, again, just running on low effectiveness as well. It's not, because she wants crits and quick up, and that's, like, neither what Castoria does either. So I feel like because of her card type being like this, it actually drags her down a bit. Don't get me wrong, she's very again, let's talk about the farming as well. She can do farming. She can even do like 90 plus farming as well. Like some nodes you don't even need double Taikobo, because sometimes you do need double Taikobo support. If you don't know why, if it's because he has an AoE quick seal and can also boost your gates and quick up, etc., to keep her going, because you kind of sometimes need that skill seal, because if the enemy, like, let's say they heal themselves, she will not counter them in that case then, which is awkward. That would just ruin your, like, speed farming. But it is possible. And of course in some nodes you don't need double Taikobo. There have been examples of it where, you know, the enemy that just, you would get a guaranteed MP counter anyway on every enemy. But it's not the best thing out there ever, I would have to say. She's great, but I don't think she's top tier. But she's also a really hard thing to evaluate because of how unique she is. I'm honestly thinking A, which might be low, but I don't know, honestly. I just feel like I don't like the lack of survival. Because you need to protect her. Like, it's sometimes can be very hard to protect her, honestly. I'm probably gonna get blasted for this, if anything. I'm still probably going to think about it, but I can't place her. EX is too much, at least, to me. It's too much. She does have good crit potential as well, but the MP is a bit scary, though. Maybe just because at least she crits really well. I can probably do this. It's not a high A+ by any means, but... yeah, her MP can do something no one else can. Are you talking about the speed run? I'm not really going to focus too much on a speed run because most of the time you don't need that. If that's your argument, then I'm just going to ignore that one. That's not really anything for criteria in my opinion. He threw break price. So yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. So no, I'm not going to consider that. It's mainly relevant for the final bar. It does mean that you can, you know, make a second bar or third bar easier as well. But it's not the easiest thing to do either, to be honest. But sure. Okay. There you go. I think I can just give her A+ then, okay. Because her skills are still very good. They're strong. They're like a very good modern skill set as well. And her potential is really good. But sometimes it might just be too hard to keep her alive. EX is too much in my opinion, even though some people wanted to see that. I can't do that. Anyway, there you go. I guess that's done with alter egos. We're now moving on. Well, there's only basically one class left, only one other non-this class, but yeah, time for some foreigners. Here we go. We're starting with the first one, obviously. And it was a 5-star one, because there were the 4-star one was a welfare. Oh no, the summer one, XX was the first one, but the first added into the game was Abigail, the OG from Salem. So what is she? Single target buster DPS / team utility, I guess, something like that. 12.1k attack is actually pretty good, especially for a foreigner, because they don't have the you know, awkward modifiers. Now I have to say from the get-go, a lot of these foreigners I would not really consider too much for neutrals. So, but at least in their defense, Berserker is still not that rare of an enemy, so at least that is good. So I can at least, you know, consider that quite a bit. It's not like we're talking like Avengers from Moon Cancers or something like that. Berserkers are still fairly common. But a lot of these foreigners I don't think are worth bringing for neutral. Some are, but it's a very rare exception. But yeah, most of them I wouldn't bring against neutral. Anyway, triple arts deck. You see triple arts, you see 6 hits, you think, oh my god, she can MP every turn. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, her MP gain is one of the worst in the entire game. The only saving grace is that because she has a triple arch, it's easier to participate in arts gains, but man, anyone that has ever used OG Abigail knows how garbage it is. She doesn't generate at all. Even if you crit with those arts cards, they still don't do much at all. It's so sad. It's even more sad because her MP is actually strong for effects. I'm sad. So that really, you know, hampers her potential. It's sad, but it is what it is. Anyway, skills. This skill is pretty okay. It's a long cooldown though, which is the second problem she has. So it's a 7-turn cooldown. Your party gets 10% gauge every turn for 3 turns. Alright, not bad. Party MP damage 30% 3 turns. Not bad either. And self one-time 30% battery, which again helps because her gains are so bad. But again, 7-turn cooldown. Like we saw another high cooldown example in Dolman earlier. I feel like he just does so much more. Yeah, I feel they should have definitely reduced the cooldown with this buff. I agree, Will. I'm not sure why they didn't. It's not a bad skill, but 7 is still a high cooldown for these effects. Like, don't get me wrong, when this skill is up, you're looking good. Like, you're having a great time. It's a nice skill to have, because it's party-wide as well, besides the battery, but when it's... because it's down most of the time, that's the problem, you know? Anyway, not a terrible skill, but man, this should have come down as well with the buff. She's got the defense down version of Terror, so AoE defense down, 20%, 3 turns, it's alright. And then one-time stun from the Terror. 50% chance to activate every turn for 3 turns. 7-turn cooldown still. So yeah, not anything mind-blowing. It's an okay skill, but just that's all it is. Can Castor save her? No. Third skill, I like the guaranteed drain, even though it is single target, it's still nice to have. And then single target attack down 20% 3 turns. Should not be a 7-turn cooldown as well. Like both of, if this is a 7-turn cooldown, at least make both of those AoE, and even then it wouldn't be amazing. It would just be all right. Why is it a 7-turn cooldown when both of these are single target, and this is like only 20% on the attack down as well? It's just kind of weak. It's brutal, man. Okay, again, to recap, her big problems are horrible MP gain and really long cooldowns for not the greatest benefit, not the worst either, but definitely should offer more with these cooldowns. Yeah, Kiara's AoE buff removal is on a 6-turn cooldown, and it's so much better than this skill, because it's also AoE drain. Like, that's a really good comparison. Oh my god. Anyway, for her passive is nice. She actually has the best version, so it's actually a good chunk of debuffers as well. She has a different buster buff. You know, I guess the MP benefits as well, but yeah, the deck only has 1 buster card. Berserker bonus, so at least here she's winning hard, so that's like the jackpot for, you know, pen skills. And then the MP. I love the effects, first of all. OC is 30% crit chance down for the 1 turn. I wish it was a bit higher for turn, but it's still, I like crit chance down, you guys know. And it's a complete strip of buffs for 1 enemy before damage. One of the best normal effects you can have, for sure. But sadly, without damage buff, we're not looking at a very hard-hitting MP, though. That's the thing. That's the thing. The only thing she has is the defense down and a bit of MP damage to help with her own stuff. And my criteria is MP1. Like, I love the MP for the utility sake. The effects are great, but the damage is still not great. So she kind of has a lot of problems. Horrible MP gain, 2 long cooldowns for the benefit of the effects, and damage is also not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. One of the Bs for sure. But here's the thing, because I know one of the other ones is going to happen later. I don't know, because I do think she's better than the other version. Maybe she's still B, though. B is too high. I wouldn't say so, because she's still very solid against Berserkers with full class advantage. Again, Berserkers are not super rare either. So I feel like giving her more emphasis on the good scenario is not unfair. Yeah. Yeah, that could be cool, William. She sings happy birthdays or EX plus. Yeah, on a different tier list, she could maybe rank higher, depending on what the list is. Man, well, I guess she was the first one, so they didn't really want to go crazy. Speaking of foreigners, yeah, the second one happened very fast after the first one. It was like, what, difference of like 2 months or something? Yeah, they weren't messing around. Hokusai. A classic. Maybe not the best thing ever, but a definite classic. We got AoE arts DPS and Farmer, but let's be real, the farm isn't pretty. I'm just mostly going to be talking about her as a DPS, if anything. 12.1k attack, again, similar to Abby, is very nice to have. Not bad by any means. It's good, good. Double Buster, double Arts with two 6-hit Arts cards. She can actually have good generation. On average, it's just alright, but the potential is really good. Like, if you get a nice fat Arts crit, ooh, that gauge jumps. It just jumps. Especially with good supports. So, I would say she does a better job here, at least, than Abigail, which is good. First skill. Evasion, 1 turn on a 5 turn cooldown. So again, better than average. Because the average is a 6 turn one, or the standard is a 6 turn one. And a 30% battery. Sometimes a bit awkward, because you kind of would maybe like to save the evasion. But at least she's arts based, so you know, maybe have a bit more excuses of using this. Because you can get invul and special invul from Castoria. But I digress, it is still a bit awkward, even if we have some band-aids for it. Not a bad skill though, I like that it's a 5 turn cooldown. Second skill is cool, very cool. So it's a pretty standard 30% arts up on a 5 turn cooldown, much like Shitanai for instance. But what else does she get? Well, 100% buff removal resistance for that turn. So her buffs are pretty safe unless they have like a 500% chance to do something to you. To your buffs, that is. And then also, another great synergy is debuff rest 100% for 1 turn. So not only will your buffs not get yoinked, you will also not get debuffed. Again, the timing can sometimes be awkward because you kind of want the arts buff up most of the time. So, you know, sometimes you might not get that much value out of those two. But it's a great combo of those defensive effects. Like, it's so good for protection. If you use this and the dodge, you're like so safe. Unless they have like invul, piercer, sure hit, then rip. But otherwise, you're looking pretty safe. And yeah, 5 turn cooldown is very fair for this. Good skill. Slightly awkward, but good. And then the third skill, which has been buffed, it's actually very cool and unique. So it's on a 6 turn cooldown, what do you get? Well, on every time you use an arts card, keep in mind it's not a normal attack, this applies to the MP as well, which again most people know already. Every arts card for the next 3 turns, up to 20% defense down on the target. And again, because the MP can also apply it, it can be an AoE one as well on that hit. Pretty damn poggers. You can actually hit a really high amount of defense down just from Hokusai's third skill itself. It's kind of nutty for, you know, damage plus. And you also, with the buff now, you also get Arts Absorb for 3 turns, 500%. Very solid considering, remember, Foreigner Absorb is basically Archer equivalent. So a 500% bonus is already going to matter a lot. So, and because it's only targeted towards her arts cards, if you ever get her arts cards and you have any stars, basically all the stars will go to her arts cards, which is good because, again, it just keeps the train rolling. And it's her best damage as well. And also more defense down, so it makes sense. And they also added a 15 star bomb. So this skill was already pretty good before the buff, despite only being up half the times. Now it's actually really good. This is really good for challenge quest for sure. Just makes her go so much faster. Very nice. Very nice. She also has the EX version of the Foreigner passive, so a nice chunk of debuff rest is cool to have. Debuff success rate is good because of those defense downs, right? Sadly, this rank is not super high for the arts bonus, but, you know, it's something still. She might as well not have it, but, you know, it's something. Is defense down after damage or before? It is after damage for both face cards and the MP, but, you know, I don't think it's that big of a deal because it's so stackable. And a bit of tickle from the divinity. Hey, she all much like Abby, she gets the best case, so, you know, there's that berserker damage bonus on that append, so very nice. The MP itself is a bit basic though. There's no normal effects sadly, but the OC is not terrible because it's a damage mod against man attribute. Now man attribute is actually not super rare. A lot of servants have that attribute, so not bad. I wish it had another normal effect though. The damage isn't the best, honestly, but it's also good for, you know, because it's pretty spammable and it can also spread the defense down, so there you go. Again, for farming, let's see here. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. She can still run double Castoria, which is great, but look at the numbers here. even with Super Black Rail, it's like this is. I'm not sure. I think this was against Berserkers, wasn't it? So you would only do that against Berserkers. But here's the thing, right? Because it's awkward, right? Because we're talking Berserker farming. So at that point, in my opinion, despite Foreigners obviously being the best anti-Berserker class, but if you're talking farming, why would you not just bring another class, right? Because the defense advantage for farming is kind of irrelevant, right? So I'd probably just bring a, another class instead. And for neutral, I've used her. I have a 2k foe MP2 Hokusai JP. I can tell you the damage is not that good for neutral farming. But hey, at least for challenge quests, that's where she shines. And I would even go as far to say that you can bring her against mostly neutral as well. But you would definitely have to fight AoE enemies. Like multiple enemies. You would not bring her against single target. For single target Zerk it's still fine, but for single target neutral you wouldn't do that. But for neutral many enemies, she's still alright with Castoria setups because she goes pretty fast. Like she's just just does a lot of work. There you go. This is a hard one. It's one of the A's. Definitely not EX, but she's one of the A's. It's a hard one, honestly. I feel like she might be a flat A, honestly. She has not aged super well, but she's definitely still relevant, in my opinion. And I say this as someone who has a pretty good Hokusai on JP as well, and I use her a lot. Like, she's good and works, but I don't think she's amazing. Like, if they ever give her, like, an MP buff, I think she's gonna be so damn good. Like, so good. But as is, I feel like A is pretty fair, if anything. And again, some people might disagree with that, which, it is what it is. I think I'm gonna leave her an A, as much as it, kind of pains me too. That's what my heart is telling me to do. She's the best foreigner. Train? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, I guess you stopped playing after she released. Okay, because that, yeah, if you back when she released, that's true, dude. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into that argument, bro. You're either an NA player or you stopped playing after Hokusai was released. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay, in fact, the next foreigner is also better, and she's also in NA. So I guess you truly stopped playing after she released. Anyway, Yang Guifei, here we go. Another cool foreigner. Single target arts this time. Very nice. 12.3k attack. Very high. Love it. Double arts, double quick deck. I think makes sense. It's better to have double quick than double buster because she doesn't really have a lot of crit potential. And I would rather she have more cards that, make her MP more attainable. So, I like the deck. And gains are actually pretty good. Especially when her skills are active. She has a lot of stuff in her skills that help her MP just, keep going and going. So, with all of the package considered, I would say they're very good, yeah. Now, let's talk about the skills, because she has a pretty good set, I would say. First of all, first skill, 1 turn invul, 6 turn cooldown, so it's the standard, but what else do we get? 10% MP gauge every turn for 3 turns for self? Okay. 25 stars, okay, and a taunt to go with that invul, and now with the buff it's not only against males anymore but against everyone, okay. Now that is a really good skill, great skill, and it's even better when we get to the third skill, right? But even if she didn't have the third skill, this is a good skill. This is just a flat out really good skill, but it's even better. Anyway, second skill, AoE drain. Okay, first of all, guaranteed drain, love it. Now, if you drain, you get up to 20% MP gauge per tick. So if you're fighting AoE, it's a bit awkward because she's single target, but you can still run her against multiple enemies. But if you are fighting multiple enemies, you can get up to 60% battery just from this. Okay, and an AoE defense down 20%. It is a hefty 7-turn cooldown, but at least it has the drain, the great potential battery, and an okay defense down, so it's not as bad as Abby, I would say. I wish it was like 6-turn, but maybe that's too strong, I don't know. It's a good skill still, I would say. Here you go. And then the third skill, the unique one. So she gets the unique Living Flame buff for 3 attacks or 3 turns, which, you know, chances are they will all get used in 1 turn with the taunt. So every time you get attacked, the enemy gets a 10% defense down for 3 turns. So it's, again, I guess she can dish out some defense downs as well. Not as well as Hokusai, or not as high as Hokusai, but she has this mechanic too, in a way. But more importantly, she puts burns on the target. Now you're saying, like, dots, they suck. Yes, they suck. But, you know, it's important for her damage because of the MP, I suppose. And you also get 3-turn defense up for 20% on a 6-turn cooldown. So it really makes sense when you're considering her playstyle. So overall, her kit is actually pretty damn good. Makes sense. The one annoying thing is there's not a whole lot of damage in it. Like, besides the defense down stuff, there's not the most damage in it, but at least it makes sense. Same foreigner passive, good. And a bit of tickle. At least her passives are kind of boring compared to the other ones. Ruler bonus, whatever. And then the MP. I didn't know the burn damage she applies from the MP actually scales with MP level. That's funny. I did not know it was a scaling effect. That's kind of cool. Not that it matters, but that's kind of cool. And then the modifier, of course. Extra damage against burned enemies, base 150%. So yeah, the MP itself is actually still not amazing, but at least it's an easy niche to apply. Although, having said all that, she's still not like an insanely high-hitting servant, even if the burns are kind of easy to upkeep. But the thing is, she still loops her MP well, right? She can spam it very often because of these 2 skills helping a lot, and her base gains also being pretty good, and supports as well. And you would probably run burn CCs with her as well to have, because this does burns, the 3rd skill does burns, and your CCs do burns. So it's an easy way to uptime that. She's not EX, but she's an easy A+ in my opinion. If they ever like give her an MP buff, easy EX, easy. But as is, I'm saying A+. Still a very solid DPS. And there could be an argument to be made. You could kind of bring her against neutral sometimes as well, honestly. Maybe not the best option, but it's possible. So, there you go. A pretty damn solid arts DPS after the buff. Ooh, the next one. One of the ones that I almost have no experience on, so I had to do some research yesterday. I have to say, I'm slightly disappointed though, sadly. Not that I like him a lot anyway, but anyway. We're talking about Voyager here. He's actually gonna arrive on NA pretty soon, huh? Yeah, pretty soon. So we have an AoE quick foreigner DPS farmer support, but I have to say immediately, he's not great in any of those. He can do a lot of stuff, but he's not like really good in any of those roles. He's kind of like a jack of all trades, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, is that what you want a lot of the times? Maybe not. Anyway, 10.4k attack. Now that's a massive downgrade compared to the other SSR foreigners we just saw. A huge difference, which again contributes to the fact that a lot of people know he sadly doesn't do a lot of damage. That this attack definitely doesn't help. Now, double arts, double quick deck, I think is pretty sensible. Although he does have a bit of crit damage in his kit, so maybe double buster, double quick would have been cooler. But, you know, at least it's easier to uptime his MP, I suppose. Yeah, there is that fun combo with double Miyu, I suppose. Gains I can't comment too much about on, because I barely used him at all, so... On paper, at least Star Generation is maybe okay. This doesn't look too bad, though, honestly. Doesn't look too bad. Anyway, first skill. Another 50% self-batter and 6-turn cooldown, so again, it's pretty standard. But also, 3-turn debuff immune. Alright, flexibility, and a 10-star bomb. Not the best battery I've ever seen, but, you know, not the worst either. I would say above average. It's alright. Second skill, self-evasion, evasion 1 turn, but this is on a 6-turn cooldown, so again, it's the average. What else does he get? Quick up 20%, 3 turns, and 1 enemy, not AoE, 1. Again, it's like the Kiara thing. Why isn't this AoE? If he's AoE, this should be AoE. I just don't get it. 20%. It should be 30% if this is single target, in my opinion. Oh well. 3 turns though is okay. It's an okay skill. A bit awkward to use because again, it's offense is tied to the 1 turn defense, so it's awkward. But it's better than, you know, a lot of the other dodges in the game, I guess. 3rd skill. Now here's where a bit of the supporting comes in, I guess, because it's a targeted skill. What does the target get? 600% absorb for 1 turn, not 3. 1 party crit damage, 30%. It's alright. And then party crit resistance 20% for 3 turns. All of this on a 6 turn cooldown. This should have definitely been 5. Or make the absorb 3 turns. I just don't get why the absorb is 1 turn here. It's not that impressive. Don't get me wrong, I love crit resistance, for instance. It's a great defensive buff, but yeah, at 6 turn cooldown, I don't think this is like amazing or anything like that. Like, people want to make the case of him like, oh, you can use him as a support, but I mean, of course, we haven't even seen the MP yet, which also helps, but I don't know too much about that. Like, if you really don't have a lot of options, I guess you could do him as a support, but I don't know. I feel like you would have maybe better options. I'd probably bring Hans over him as a support too. Anyway, Foreigner passive is nice, of course. His unique passive, I guess he has 2 of them. One is crit damage and arts up, by a pretty solid chunk, at least on the arts up. Not too bad. And a bit of buff removal resistance. So if you're really lucky, I guess sometimes you can save your buffs, but don't count on this to save your ass. Don't, because it's not. Lancer bonus doesn't really matter at all. Unless you're running him as a support, which again, I don't think is the best choice either. The MP is actually pretty good though, at least on paper, if his damage was better. OC, 20% crit or not crit damage, MP damage before damage for 1 turn is actually pretty okay. Bonus modifier, 150% against Sky attribute. It's one of the rarest attributes in the game, sadly. Not the rarest, that being Star, right? Wait, isn't it the same? Or am I going crazy? I have to remind myself again. It's the same, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not. Okay, it's not. Okay. So it's not as rare as Star, but it's still like the 2nd rarest from what I remember. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess Sky is sometimes called Heaven. That's what I was thinking. I'm not Star. Star is different. Anyway, this is good though. Party 20% battery, including himself. So that's already a good amount of refund. Great. And then if your allies are living human, which I believe he's not, right? Is he? Yeah, sadly he's not. And it's not like there's a lot of servants that have this trait. I mean, there's a decent chunk, but a lot of them you might not combo with him. Where is it? In the wrong category? No. There you go. So these are the servants that can get the bonus 10% battery. So it's basically pseudo servants, right? Mostly. Basically all these familiar faces we know that, you know, host another spirit inside them, kind of. So yeah. Yeah, he obviously doesn't have the trait because he's a satellite. Like, the MP itself is pretty good on paper, but the problem is, it just doesn't do a lot of damage, does it? So it's like a supporting, damaging MP. I would have preferred if they just flat out made it a support MP instead. Like, change the damage to something cool instead. Does he loop? He does. In fact, I can show you here. With double Scotty and 20, you do need the good old Super Scope 2004 combo, but look at these numbers. Oh my god. Oh my god. I feel bad. Oh no, dude. It's rough, man. It's rough. You would need to plug suit more damage, and even then, I feel like it's not great. Oof. So here's the recap. He's not an amazing farmer. He can do it, but he's low on damage, which also, you know, makes him not as a great DPS either. And as a support, he's okay, but would you bring him only as a support? I wouldn't. I would bring someone else. Like, he's a jack of all trades that is mostly not needed, in my opinion. You can bring him, and he can probably help you out, especially as in CQs, but he's not high on, like, you know, prior list, in my opinion. I kind of want to say B+, though, because he does do a lot of stuff. He just doesn't do any of the stuff well. That's the thing. He doesn't do anything amazingly, but he does do a lot of stuff. I might just place him in B+ because of that. Like, he could do worse, but yeah. I don't think he's an A, though, at least. A would be too high, in my opinion. Yeah. Because I feel like he should be above Abigail, probably. Abigail is maybe a slightly better DPS, but it's not like she's a great DPS either, to be honest. Yeah, alright, there you go. Does a lot, but doesn't do anything amazingly well. Yeah, he shares the banner with Koyo Kijo. She's the 4-star in the event. Alright, not too many to go. Oh man, okay, it doesn't get a whole lot better, does it? In fact, it's probably even worse. So we get the second version of Abigail. Oh my god, I have to censor this. Fucking hell, dude. Okay, this is probably the best I can do. Okay, Jesus. Why is that the first ascension, dude? Jesus Christ. Anyway, what are we looking at? AoE Buster. Can I even call her a DPS? Because her damage... If you thought Voyager has bad damage... Boy, she's even worse. What the fuck? Have you guys seen that famous meme where that MP5 Abigail literally couldn't kill Hans with her own buffs? She literally... One of them was left alive. MP5. What the fuck? That's sad as hell. Yeah, I agree, Fog. Debuffer is the word I would use, if anything. She's utility and debuffing. That's what she is, kinda. Oh my god, is that a plushie in the chat? That's rare. I didn't know you watched these. Have you ever watched any of these live? I wonder. Anyway, attack. It's above average for an SSR, but... it's considering, you know... It's her. I wish it was a bit higher, because she could use all the bonus she could get. Guess. I think I assume you mostly watch the videos on YouTube, if anything. But I have no idea. I've never seen you comment live on these, at least. We should do one of these together sometime, so I have to talk less. Maybe next year or something. Mix it up a little. Anyway, double buster, double quick deck. Kind of random, honestly. I don't know why she has a double quick. I don't really see the point. If anything, double arts probably would have made more sense. It's kind of weird. Double buster is okay, because at least she can do a brave chain with that, but yeah. At least her gains are better than OG Foreigner, but, you know, they're not amazing either, are they? I mean, they're considerably better at least, which, you know, is a given. Now the skills. You ready for some debuffs, I guess? First of all, single target sleep for 2 turns. Okay, and it does come with a buff removal though, which I like. A single target buff removal, that's good. I like that. And then, as long as the enemy is asleep, their defense down is up to 50% for 1 attack. Because obviously, when you attack them, you're going to wake them up anyway. So for 1 attack, it's a minus 50% defense down. On a 6-turn cooldown, I guess mostly because of the buff removal. Or the delay you can maybe do with sleep if you have more than 1 target. It's just like, why isn't this AoE? Why isn't this AoE? I don't get it. It's so counterintuitive. You can have 1 okay hit, and then the sleep is gone. It's useless. What the fuck? You could, again, if there's multiple enemies sleep, someone to delay, because it's a 2-turn sleep, and just ignore them and use it like that, but even then, I feel like it's not that great. It would be too cracked if it was AoE. Well, that's what she needs, because she doesn't have a lot of stuff. She's not a great servant, okay? She would need 1 cracked thing, in my opinion, and this could be it, but it's not. Anyway, much like OG Abby, is this the identical version of the skill? I think it might be. The good old mass hysteria. 20% defense down, AoE 3 turns. The hefty 7-turn cooldown. Maybe this has a slightly higher chance to activate. Maybe the other one was 50, or maybe it was 55 as well. Anyway, it's just an okay skill. It's not nothing great. Exact same skill. Okay, so it's the same one, okay. Yeah, it's not great, it's not terrible, it's just the middle of the road. At least this one is AoE. That's Poggin. Good song, by the way. I know I shouldn't comment on that because YouTube can't hear these, but I love this song. Self-battery 50%, another thing normal Abby doesn't have, on top of having better gains than her, I guess. And then self-debuff success rate up 30% for 3 turns, I guess. She doesn't really need that, but it's a nice insurance, I guess, to land her debuffs better. And then 1 enemy. Again, why isn't... This at least should be AoE, right? 1 enemy buster is down when she's AoE as well. Like, Kiara is good. Maybe I can understand there why the arts... And it's because its arts is better than buster is down, because it does more than just damage. And, but here, like, why? Why isn't this AoE? Why is it a single target buster is down 30% 3 turns? It should be like 50% down. Hell, now that I think about it, isn't Semiramis's AoE Buster Rest down on a skill like 50% for 3 turns? This is single target for 30%? What the fuck? Why? I know it's tied to the battery, but still. She needs something to make her good. She doesn't have it. These are all just not enough, in my opinion. Yeah, and Summer Kiara was the same event. This is kind of a, you know, big comparison. Okay. Anyway, nice passive. This one maybe makes a little bit more sense now that she has 2 normal Buster cards instead of 1. Avenger bonus, sadly, unlike her OG version, she doesn't even have the Berserker bonus. And the MP, much like OG one, has good effects at least, so before damage you remove defensive buffs, which I always like. It's a great utility to have as a normal effect. And an AoE defense down 20% 3 turns. I wish this should also be before damage because her damage sucks. So this would help as well. Yeah. Her damage, like if you thought Voyager was bad for damage, okay. So she's mostly like utility and debuffs, and even then you could probably get better debuffs from elsewhere. Certainly probably top 5 worst SSRs in the game for gameplay. Not useless, but not a whole lot of uses if anything. I think she's worse than OG Abby as well. There you go. They need to buff her real bad. Real bad. Doman has better debuffs in 1 skill. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh my, I guess it's happening now, huh? Alright, well this is a fun one. Okay. Well, a lot of people know about Van Gogh, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, what are we looking at? Single target buff DPS, but also a soloer, and also a support. Kinda does all of those pretty fucking well. Excuse my swearing. Now, attack is only 11.2k. Not the highest. It's just above or below average for an SSR. Don't let that fool you, though. It's okay. It's fine, looking at the skill set and everything else later. Now, obviously, she's crit-based, full-on crit-based for her main DPS, so it's great that she's a foreigner because they have the equivalent of an archer's absorb, which is great. Not to mention, she has a triple quick deck. Her MP is art still, but the deck is full-on triple quick with 4-hitter quicks, and because of the skills helping, she can actually generate a lot of stars as well. So it's kind of easy to crit with her as well, which means amazing gains as well. Like, her MP is easy to keep going, and you really want that because the MP is stupid. It's just flat out stupid. So yeah, besides the attack not being amazing, everything else works. And you might be saying, like, triple quick on an arts buff MP? That has to suck, right? But it's kind of, this is the one weird scenario where triple quick literally is the best case scenario with the way she works, right? I wouldn't have believed it myself either at first. On paper, it doesn't make the most sense. But it really is the best deck that works for her gameplay. And I'm just gonna flat out say it already. She's the best quick DPS in the game. It's not even close, really, sadly. She's the best. Anyway, let's take a look at the skills. First of all, Self Guts 1x 5 turns. So a standard 1x 5 turn Guts is a 7 turn cooldown, so this is already better by being a 6 turn one. What else does she do? Well, she gets 3 curses for 10 turns that barely do any damage. I don't know why it says demerit, because it's definitely a merit, looking at what this does and other stuff. So with every curse on her, you get 10% battery. So this alone is 30%, but wait, it gets better. Let's take a look at skill number 2. On a 6 turn cooldown, what do you get? You get basically a guarantee, this is even higher than 100%, 150% chance to AoE defense down 20% 3 turns. Cool, I like the guarantee. AoE quick res down 20% 3 turns. Now here it's AoE as well. Great. Party evasion, 1 attack, 3 turns. We get a Harp of Healing here as well as a bonus. Party HP 300 for 5 turns every turn. So even though the number is not the best, it's a very good uptime as well. I didn't even see what that pasta in the chat was. It looked broken in my chat. Whatever. Anyway, and then your party gets another curse. Every single one gets one, which is good because of the 3rd skill. So this one is also why she actually has a bit of support potential as well if you want to. It's actually pretty solid because this one is targeted. So the target gets 30% attack up for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. So that's really solid because it's also targeted. And they get 600% absorb for 3 turns. Like Voyager only had a 1-turn absorb on a 6-turn cooldown. This is a 3-turn absorb on a 5-turn cooldown. And then with when you attack with quick cards, you remove 1 curse from yourself, but you trade it for 10% attack up for 3 turns, which can stack quite high as well. And when you use the skill, you get every curse in the battle, not just your allies, but from your enemies as well. That's why coupling her with Dolman can actually be really fucking scary for damage. You get all those curses, you get all those crit damage and attack buffs as well, because keep in mind, she's also chaotic and evil. She gets all that shit as well. It's a pretty cute combo. Now, the way you use her, you kind of pop 2, 3, 1 on turn 1. So if you pop it in that order, with just her own skills alone, she already gets 60% battery. So it's very easy to already MP with her turn 1 with the help of your supports, which is good because you want her MP to just go, 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 go. And it definitely can do that very easily. Even on solo situations, she can very easily have a great uptime on her MP because of, you know, constant crits. It's just ridiculous. So this skill set alone is already insane for synergy. Just insane. One of the best skill sets in the game, probably. Just from the skills alone. And we haven't even talked about the MP, which is like a top 3 MP in the entire game. Like, what the fuck? Let's talk passives first, though. Not Avenger. Foreigner passive. Always nice. A bit of Buster Up. Not a big deal for her because she only has 1 of them. But, you know, it's a bonus, I guess. Because you know, more debuff success rate up because the defense down already had a high one. It's nice to land the quick res down as well and the debuff from the MP. A bit of tickle, and then this is sometimes this is actually very important, especially in solo. She cannot die to curses basically, so no matter what the curse is, no matter who applies it, even, you know, a certain Chungus, you cannot die to curses. So this is actually very important sometimes. Not always needed, of course, but so it's a great passive to have. Even though the curses she does will definitely never kill her anyway, because they're only 100 damage every turn. But sometimes you can get bigger curses as well, but this prevents you from dying to those. So yeah, it's very nice to have. Caster bonus honestly is okay, because remember earlier when I said most of foreigners I would not bring against neutral scenarios? You can absolutely bring Van Gogh against neutral. So no matter who this was gonna be, as long as it wasn't like alter ego, this was always gonna be at least somewhat useful. Obviously Berserker would have been like the craziest thing ever, but this is still okay, I guess. Now the MP, oh my god, it's disgusting. Okay, first of all, let's talk OC first. Party attack up 30% 3 turns on base OC. That's really good. Oh my god. Okay, and then let's talk normal effects. So it's a terror on all enemies on an MP. A terror on an MP on a spammable MP means you're gonna be seeing a lot of AoE stuns proccing. Chance activation chance is 60%, which is also high for a terror. Party crit damage 50% on MP1, but 100% crit damage for basically every foreigner in the game and Okita Assassin for 3 turns, including herself. So again, you get 150% MP damage for 3 turns. What? On MP1, and it's a very spammable MP. That's just the MP. And you also get more stars, 10 stars per turn for 3 turns, which again you can also stack because the MP is so spammable. What the fuck? And again, I was just about to get to the point that if you run double Vanko, it's even more stupid. It is borderlines. This is a top 3 MP in the game, probably. The only case where she's not like completely broken, especially in solo, is if the enemy is like debuff immune. It hampers her potential a little bit, especially for solos, because you kind of need those stuns to come in consistently. But wow, like, it's just stupid. She's like oh my god, she's one of the best DPS in the entire game for sure, and you can absolutely run her neutral as well. Stars per turn, party crit damage. Yeah, if you use her as a support, this is actually a really good Bonsi. I think, yeah, this is very usable. But I feel like mostly you want to run her as a DPS. But hey, there you go. We finally have someone who can respond to fucking Melusen's bullshit. Definitely there. Definitely there. She's ridiculous by every sense of the word. Just stupid. When is she dropping it on an A? It's around November this year, I believe. Just absolutely ridiculous. She's way overtuned. I don't know who thought about all that stuff in her kit. Like, let's recap. Amazing solo, unless the boss is debuff immune, which is pretty rare to begin with. Amazing solo. Amazing DPS. Even really good on neutral, because she's just a monster that destroys with crits. And her MP is super loopable. And a very solid support, too. Like, like, here's the crazy thing. Her existence already boosts the Foreigner class because of that MP. Just her existing makes Foreigner as a class as well. Like, how ridiculous is that? Oh my god. Do you think she was an accident, like the crit buff wasn't meant to apply to her? I don't think she... Maybe the numbers were a bit overtuned, but I don't know. Nah, it's just stupid. Like, even MP1 is just broken. You don't even need MP levels on her. Because the big crit bonus is a normal effect that it doesn't scale. Like, sure, you can get up to a 50% more MP, crit damage, but, like, it's already 150. It's not a big difference if you go to 200. Like, even MP1 is already so broken. It's just ridiculous. 100% on just it's a bonus normal effect. What the fuck? Like, this is the most loaded normal effects I've ever seen on any MP. Every single thing is amazing. Like, when 10 stars per turn for 3 turns on a normal effect is considered the worst of her effects on normal effect, you know it's broken. Like, if I had to rank these 3 effects, it would be this worst, this second, and then this. This is stupid. Anyway, yeah, there you go, Van Gogh. In case someone wasn't aware of how stupid she is. There you go. Best quick DPS in the game, and also on general one of the best DPSs in the game. Okay, so she's better than Orion. She's way easier to use than Orion, I'll tell you that much. I would pick Orion for Sabers for sure over her, but she's so much easier to use than Orion, at least. Her uptime is so much better, so there's that. Alright, time for one of my favorites, and sadly, yet again, as has been the theme in these lists, not an amazing servant, sadly, but I still like her a lot. In fact, oh my god, one of the hottest things ever. I have to do that. Anyway, I guess even the FA is good. Okay. We got Jacques. I'm not even gonna, read the name of the, foreign god, old god in her. What do you want to call it? Because TOS. But, yeah, what are we looking at? AoE, quick DPS, and a farmer. But much like Voyager, sadly pretty bad for farming. I'm not gonna lie. Not good. Because her damage is also pretty on the weak side. But hey, at least her utility is really great, which you'll see in a second here. Now, 10.8 key attack, sadly again on the low side, so it's again reflected on that Voyager thing, if anything. Double Buster, double Quick Deck, I think is pretty sensible. Makes sense to me. Has some crit potential too. Gains are honestly not bad. They're not amazing, but I would say they're good from using her. So, not too bad for up here. I wish the attack was higher though, like Voyager. Same problem. Now, skills, at least these are very solid. So first of all, on a 6-turn cooldown, you get Party, 20% attack, 3 turns. Party crit damage, 30% 3 turns. Party battery, 20%, and her allies get evil alignment, which is for 3 turns, which is important for the second skill. So this is a great skill. It's a great skill, especially because it makes the second skill better. So I would say a pretty good 6-turn skill, or cooldown rather. So the second skill on a 6-turn cooldown is the standard 1-turn self-invul, also a 30% self battery. So she herself can get 50% from the combination of these two, but your allies that have evil alignment get invul for 1 attack, 1 turn. So she can have like a Harp of Healing effect when you use this. And it's even more flexible because this alignment lasts for 3 turns. So it has some flexibility to it. So she can actually save your team as well, which is cool. So with that, this skill is actually pretty good too. Then the third skill on a 5-turn cooldown, what do you get? It's 10 stars per turn for 3 turns, every turn. Self quick up 20% 3 turns. I wish it was like 30%. Oh well. And then a pretty cool damage mod. 50% damage against cursed enemies for 3 turns on a good uptime. On a 5-turn cooldown, it's a good skill. Another great skill. Yeah, true. It's worth noting that this is good with Van Gogh as well, because again, she wants curses as well, and Van Gogh has an AoE, you know, evasion, and she has AoE invul, and you can stack those because Van Gogh is also evil. You don't even need this. It's kind of cool combo. And obviously Van Gogh makes her better as well with her buffs. For the passive, nice. 10% arts. Not the biggest deal with 1 arts card, but you know, it's nice to have. Saber bonus, miss me. And then the MP. Not the best thing ever though. I like the OC at least. 20% MP damage for 3 turns before damage is very solid. Helps a little bit. Still not the best damage though. MP does a curse and also an amplifier, so similar to Doman, I guess. Now, even if the enemy is cursed, because the mod is only 50% on this skill, her damage is still on the weak side. It is sad. But she does a lot of stuff anyway. You can absolutely run her as like a sub DPS who helps your team a lot as well. I wouldn't really farm with her again, and if we take... Oh, that was subset. Oops. That's after the stream. If we take a look at the chart, she's like very similar to Voyager. She peaks a little higher, but it's not a big difference. Like, I would not really recommend using either of them too much for farming. They're just not that great. But I guess Jacques might just do a little bit better of a job. Not a big difference though. But I still feel like Jacques is here. I would place her just above Voyager though. Not the best damage, but her kit is pretty damn good, I would say. You would not really mostly run her as a main DPS though. But we have seen a lot of curse synergy here already. So, I guess a bit more bonus for that. Definitely not higher than an A though. There you go. Not a big difference to Voyager, mind you. They're kinda interchangeable in a lot of things, but I would still prefer her, and feel free to call me biased because I think she's fucking hot, but there you go. I do think she is slightly better. Right, this is a pretty big fan favorite as well. Is Plushie here? Interesting. All right, we got the other Koyan. It's been a while since we saw Light because that was many weeks ago in the assassin list. We got Koyan Dark now, the foreigner version 2.0. AoE, Buster, DPS, and I guess she can do farming as well, sure. Yeah, and honestly, she can do a bit of supporting as well, right? Yeah. Maybe not the best support out there, but you know, she has some pretty good team utility, I would say. So she's looking okay, at least on paper and everything. Alright, there's the FA, fine. 11.2k attack is just around average for an SSR, maybe just below, but... not terrible by any means. Double Buster, double Arch Tech. I think makes a lot of sense with the AoE Buster MP as well. Her gains are also not bad either, right? If anything, Plushie can answer that because he's like the one who has the most experience using her. Yeah, not too bad, I would say, at least on this side. You prefer light or dark? Light all the way. I'm not talking about gameplay here, by the way. Anyway, the first skill I really actually like. This is great. So, first of all, Party Buster up 30% 3 turns. And she's the only other servant besides Castoria that has a 30% AoE battery on one skill. Really good. Really good. And then she reduces the absorb of, you know, basically everyone that's not like a, you know, animal or demon beast servant by 1 turn, which is most servants. There is actually a fair amount of servants that, you know, are considered this, that don't get the reduction, but most servants would get the reduction here. Like most that don't have like animal characteristics, which is most servants. All of that on a 6-turn cooldown I think is very fair, because at least both of these effects are very solid. This might not always be the best thing ever, but it at least helps herself, I suppose, get a bit more stars, because she is still a DPS after all. Yeah, okay. Second skill is a pretty cool one too. So it's a targeted one. The target gets not 1 but 2 stages of OC buff. And in this day and age, OC buffs are pretty good. For many servants, they're actually very strong. And this one is pretty flexible because it's not like a one-time 1 turn. It's a one-time 3 turns. So it's not like you have to immediately cash in on this as well. So that effect already is poggin. Now, she gets an unactivated attack buff for 3 turns, which means that when you attack with Buster cards, you get 5 stars. Not bad, not the best I've ever seen, but you know, it's nice. And because it's saying Buster cards and not Buster normal attacks, it's not just the 2 that she has here, but it also counts the MP. Worth noting, I guess. So the MP also gives you 5 stars when this is active. And now here we got the animal characteristic support thingy. So all your allied servants that have that trait get 30% attack up, including herself, and 30% defense up. So if you do run a full party of this skill is amazing. Even on a 7-turn cooldown, it's really good. And at least if you don't run these straight servants with her, she at least still gets these buffs, and they're pretty solid. The downtime is a bit annoying, but I can kind of understand it with the flexibility of the targeted OC as well. So I still want to say it's a great skill, even if the downtime is not the prettiest. Oh yeah, I guess this is targeted too. Yeah, these two are AoE, but both the first and the second one are targeted. So if you have a really cool Buster support, like, yeah, I like Jordanian said Ibuki, who's very red in her cards, and also, you know, gets advantage of her other supporting as well, yeah. That's a cute interaction, I guess. That's just one example. And then the third skill. It has a lot of stuff, but yeah, let's see. Okay, so on a 6-turn cooldown, what do you get? You ignore Invul for 3 turns, which is, you know, nice utility to have. You get 50% crit damage for her for 3 turns. Not too bad. And another on attack activate buffs, which literally does a lot of stuff. It puts a poison, a curse, a burn on an enemy, and the respective amplifiers as well. And they all scale with the levels as well. Which is interesting, because this happens on every attack she does. So honestly, much like Dolman, the curses are not a complete meme with her, right? Obviously, they're still not gonna be, like, amazing. Oh yeah, the amplifier is not on attack. It's placed on usage, right? Yeah, my bad. I mean, it would be actually insane if it was on attack. The amplifier is placed on when you use the skill. Yeah, true. My bad. Only the dots are on... But still, it can actually accumulate to decent damage on the dots, right? Not crazy, but it's a bonus. Sadly, they won't break bars, which sometimes can be annoying, but... I would say this is also a pretty decent skill on a 6-turn cooldown. So overall, I think her kit, skill-wise at least, is pretty poggin. Her support capability is a bit limited because of the required traits and whatnot, but, you know, at least everything still works for herself too, which is cool. Do you like the Foreigner passive? Then she has 2 other unique passives. So she does bonus damage against Wild Beast. That's not very important because basically, like, is there like a single boss that's Wild Beast besides maybe like a boar challenge quest? I can't really think of much because, again, this is not the Beast class. These are like boars and... chimeras and So it's mostly pretty irrelevant. It's a nice 20% permanent damage mod though, but in a lot of cases this, I guess in farm it could be okay. Yeah, in some farm at least it could be okay, but for most challenge quests it's pretty irrelevant. But hey, at least it's also arts and debuff success chance up, and she has double art still. So this part is still nice to have. And then again, another anti-wild beast thing, so she has a chance to inflict a 1-time 3-turn buff block on wild enemies when attacking, or wild beasts, so interesting. If there ever is a wild beast boss, I guess she's a pretty solid option then, huh? Yeah. Yeah, even no servants have this trait, right? We have animal characteristic, the non-hominidae thingy, I don't know how to pronounce that, and we have demonic beast servant, but we don't have wild beast servants, right? So it's a bit annoying. Yeah, I guess it's worth mentioning, Jordanian, that you can actually do a cute farming comp with double light, or no, it's double dark, 1 light Koyan, right? Because of these AoE batteries as well. Do like a triple MP setup. Sometimes it's okay. Let's talk about our MP though. It's actually pretty damn good, at least at FX wise. So the OC is an earth damage attribute. Damage mod rather. The good old 150 base. Earth attribute is again fairly common. We have we have many others of these as well, like Tesla and Ereshkigal after the buff. I do think it's a nice damage mod. Definitely a good one to have. Then the normal effects. There's a lot of them actually. So first of all, before damage, 20% attack up for self for 1 turn. Pretty good. You do remove the enemy offensive buffs. It's after damage. So I guess it doesn't really matter if it's after damage, if it's only offensive buffs mostly. Yeah. This is not the class change, is it? No. Yeah, not really. And then also Buster is down 20% 3 turns, but also after damage. That's a lot of stuff though. That is a lot of stuff. No, I'm not talking about Tesla straight. I'm talking Tesla also has an anti-earth MP, Pavel. That's what I was talking about. I wouldn't bring, Koyan Dark against Tesla if that's what you thought. But kind of random, if anything. She does a lot, huh? But from what I've gathered, her damage is still not amazing, is it? And while her supporting is okay, it's still a bit limited in places. I do like that both of these are for everyone, though. That's cool. That's cool. She definitely does a lot of stuff, though. Imagine if she ever gets like an MP buff. She could be ridiculous. We do have Wild Beast Servants, do we? Wait, does Lobo have that trait or something? Let me look at the charts. I assume she's here. Ah, here we go. So, with Double Witch Oberon, Aerial Drive... Yeah, it's like... The first turns fall a bit short, don't they? This tends to be the case for many of the Buster farmers. That's a bit low numbers, man. So, the farm might not be, like... super noteworthy, if anything. She has again, it's not just her farming necessarily, like doing the looping. Like you can do the aforementioned Witch comp, which is actually a 6-slot comp. Granted, the lottery sees 50% like last time. That is possible, but yeah, this is a tough one for me to play because I personally haven't even used her too much, honestly. I don't think she's EX by any means, but now I have to decide between one of the A's. I can't see the EX though. What do you guys think? Oh wait, I guess the 6-slot with the triple Koyan is still... you don't need the 50%. Yeah, you're right actually. A lot of people are saying A+, huh? I do like that she does a lot though. Huh. Like, I guess we could maybe compare her to Hokusai, for instance, as a fellow, mostly challenge quest-oriented AoE foreigner, despite obviously being arts. I think Hokusai might do a bit more damage on average, because, arts goes a bit a bit more than Buster does. Buster has very high highs, but arts is a bit more consistent otherwise. You're saying Hokusai should be A+ too. Interesting. I don't know. How much time will pass or new servants release for? It's not about new servants. I tend to just do these once a year, basically. You know, heuristic damage used to... yeah, I guess yours is like a very unrealistic example. You think she's better than Hoku? I might be willing to place her in A+, honestly. I might be willing to do that. I still like what she offers on the table, even if her damage is not amazing. And yeah, she fits into a lot of different comps. Maybe not the best in like all different comps, voice crack by the way. But, you know, she brings still stuff to the table, a lot of it, so... And that 30% battery is sexy. Definitely is. So I feel like I can just barely justify an A+ here. And I think I'll leave Hokusai here as well. Even though I feel like sometimes you might want to bring Hokusai over her, honestly. But I feel like she has more use cases, if anything. Maybe that's the difference maker here. Hard to say. But I feel like you could... These two you could swap around with these two ranks, at least in my opinion. I might just leave them as is. I guess we have arrived to the end though, huh? We are done with foreigners and the one entry remains. It's sus. It's Mr. Oberon. There he is. I certainly have history with this man. Needless to say, which I will ignore with this review, obviously, because this is not about gacha. Anyway, what are we looking at? AoE, Buster, DPS, Farmer, and first and foremost a support. I guess he even has a bit of stall potential. Is not amazing, but I guess it's worth noting if anything. I just mainly think he's really good at supporting. Like his DPS, his farming, and his stall, they're not that good. They're just not that good. You can do a lot of that stuff, but you might have better options anyway. But hey, at least his supporting is mostly for farm, if anything, is pretty poggin. Third Ascension? Okay, there you go. Best Ascension, fight me. Anyway, what are we looking at for stats? We're still going to cover this, of course. 11.8k attack is higher than average, but again, we're back to now a pretender, so you know, it's not like we're foreigner anyway. So in a lot of the use cases, it's still a 1.5x damage mod, so on overall, it doesn't do the best damage, I suppose. Double Buster, double Quick Deck. I'm not sure if I like that too much. I almost would have preferred double Buster, double Arts, but fair enough. His gains are not bad. They're not amazing, but they're not bad either. But, you know, if you want to use him for gains, you could also just use his batteries on himself too, I guess. Yeah, I know most people like the third one. I like me a wholesome moth, okay? I don't care. You guys can have your edgy ones. That's fine. Alright. Let's talk about skills, because this is really noteworthy stuff right here. So it's a party 20% battery, and party 30% MP damage for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. So even outside of the farm stuff, obviously, I would say it's a good skill. It's still a good skill. It's basic as hell, but it's a great skill. Even outside of like Buster farming. The effects compared to the cooldown is good. It's good. Yeah, it's just a way better tactics. A much better tactics. Second skill, there's the other battery. This one is a single target 50%. And you get a 20 star bomb, but after the turn, your turn is over, you drain the target by 20%. But in Buster farming, it's kinda irrelevant anyway. For DPSing, it sometimes can be annoying. Let's say the one you give this to gets like a nice Brave Chain follow-up to get a bit of more refund as well from the face cards. This would hamper those refunds a little bit. So the merit can be a bit annoying. But for farming, it's kind of irrelevant, obviously. Which I still, for the record, think is his best use case as a Buster farm support. Mostly because this skill right here is pretty dead otherwise. So on an 8-turn cooldown, we get a book. That's what we get. Okay. So it's another targeted skill. 50% Buster up. MP damage modifier. Not MP damage, but an MP damage, you know, effect multiplier. Up to 100% boost. So it basically doubles the MP damage effects your target has It makes them double, which includes CEs as well, by the way. So that's a big reason why the Buster DPS that can run Black Rail can reach some ridiculous numbers on turn 3. Melusin, a good example. Highest in the game, if anything. And then after one turn, bad things happen. Let's just say that. You remove all the buffs from the target. You can't change that. You give them eternal sleep, and it literally is eternal sleep. You can't wake them up. That sleep will never disappear no matter what you do. It passes through everything as well. And you taunt them for 3 turns. And you can't swap them out either with Plug Suit or whatever. So they're just going to be there. And to probably die in 1 or 2 turns because of the taunt and having no buffs either. So again, this is the big old time to end the fight skill. If the fight is not ending, it's a dead skill. Although in very rare cases, I guess you could use it to maybe absorb a single target MP. Let's say you have someone in your team, in a challenge quest team, who has already used all the MPs and skills and is just kind of dead and not leaving like your main DPS. You could kinda do that, but then again, it's also a waste of the damage buffs here. But it has a little bit of flexibility in that sense as a taunt. But it's still not ideal because you're just going to waste the other buffs otherwise. But yeah, a bit of flexibility because it can basically, because they're going to die in 1 or 2 turns basically because of that taunt. So it's a bit, you can get some backliners in as well. But yeah, this is the reason why Buster farming, at least the ones that use Oberon, have like the insanely high numbers on wave 3 for MP damage. Remember that while on paper double Oberon can loop 3 times, it doesn't clear any wave unless you get MP5. Yes, I was about to get to that. His farming is not great. His damage kind of sucks. Himself, that is. Okay, let's talk about passives though, because there's quite a bit of this stuff. So, party debuff success rate up against enemies that are not foreigners while he's fielded. Cool, but then we have the fun stuff, which I also forgot recently. So there's a bit of a troll thingy going on here. So while he is on the field, Merlin buffs get their buff success rate up go down 20%, which means all of Merlin buffs now only have an 80% chance to land. Which can be a big problem. Which this is a big problem why Oberon himself isn't like, he could be a way better farm, honestly, he could, but you can't field Merlin with him. You can't. He would be one of his best supports. Like, that's the fun part. Merlin would be one of his best supports, but it's gonna be inconsistent, so you can't do that. But you can't do it in you outside of farm. You can't do it in CQs either because you need to land his buffs. Includes his MP buffs, by the way, obviously. Is this like the only territory creation E-? I want to see. This is funny. It is! Wow. That's funny. Well, he only has 1 arts cut anyway, so it's mostly a meme as well, if anything. Debuff success rate up is okay, I guess. Riding A. You know, he does have that double quick on 4 hitters, so it's actually not bad. And then a pretty cool passive on the final one. He is just mental debuff immune. And also immune to curses. That's pretty strong. Do like that. Very useful. Good passive. An interesting fellow he is. Same as Aswathaman. Yeah, at least for the mental debuff part, yeah. Otherwise it's a bit different. Caster bonus. Good choke. Hello, Merlin. Anyway, then the MP. It's also a very unique case, huh? Yeah. Okay. So, he has a damage mod against lawful servants, which is actually a great damage mod if you ask me, because a lot of servants are lawful in their alignment. Not just lawful good, which is the most common combo, but there's all other lawful combos as well, obviously. He's not immune to his own sleep. Yeah, that bypasses everything, worth noting, I guess. So his MP is AoE damage, removes offensive buffs, so it's the same as Koyan Dark just now. After damage, remove offensive buffs. And then you sleep the enemy after damage for 1 turn, but you also give them invul for 1 turn. But for stalling, it doesn't really matter too much, because for your damage would break the sleep anyway, so I guess the invul prevents that. But for other reasons, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? Yeah. Man, this guy. Like, I had to debate myself so much in where I'm gonna place him and whatnot. I thought about it a lot. I just can't place him in EX+. Let me just talk about it a little bit more here, okay? Sure, I'm gonna place him mostly as a Buster looping support. And it's true that without him, many couldn't even do that. But the real servant that just makes it all possible, and is the true vital part, is Koyan Light. And she has other use cases as well, like better use cases besides just supporting Buster looping. Oberon is mostly really good at supporting Buster looping and providing a little extra when you need it. Besides that, he has a dead third skill, his own damage sucks, his stall isn't great, his looping is bad. If you don't believe me, look at these numbers. Not great. Yeah, I really can't do it. And this is gonna spark a fucking war, I know it. This is gonna, dude, I can already see people being mad about this. People are gonna be so mad. I know it already. You're not looping with him, you're plugging him? I know. I'm saying, I'm just covering all his bases. I think he only has really like one good use case, which is that plug coming in. Everything else he's not great at. His looping doesn't matter. I'm just giving because I was doing the comparison to Koyan, who still does other stuff as well, besides being a loop support. That's why I talked about him not like doing a great job in the other stuff, because they are very comparable. They are the parts for a lot of this stuff. But keep in mind, you don't always even need him for the Buster looping. A lot of the servants can just use double light anyway. Third skill can support all cars, which is versatile. It can, but it's never going to be 100% with non-Buster. I actually think I'll stick with this. What if you don't have your own lights? Well, it's not like you would... like, Oberon-based looping is still not the best alone if you don't have light. He looks a lot better when you also have light, to be honest. Which is also annoying. That's also a criteria that is, Oberon is not as amazing if you don't have light as well. Light is still good even if you don't have Oberon, that's the thing. Yeah. I think I'll stick with his rating. Yeah, it's noteworthy he has a 70% battery, yes, it is. But I still can't do it. I can't do it. And I know if I get flack from this, so be it. So be it. As much as I like the guy as well, he's actually, I really like his character and everything, but yeah. I think this is where I will place Oberon. Dude, it's gonna be so much flack, I already know it. Dude, I can see the dislikes. Fuck, dude. But I have to stay true to my heart. Like, you have no idea how much I debated myself with this yesterday when I was doing prep. You have no idea. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's worth noting the MP damage boost is unstackable as well. You only get the Buster buff if you run double Oberon. So there you go. Okay, before final adjustments, I think he will stay here at least, but now that we have placed everyone, do we want to see any swaps? Again, I don't think I'll move Oberon at least. What do you guys think? I'm at least pretty happy with this. I don't really see too much of a need, but in case you guys have good arguments or something, I'm willing to maybe consider some stuff. 2 people immediately said Hephaestion A+. I can't put Jacques into A+. Her damage just is too bad for that. Even though she's still great at supporting as well. Not that great. A is very fair for her. Yang isn't 3 tiers above Abigail. She's not though. She's 2.5. I can maybe see an argument to put Abigail into B+ though. But it's a hard one. Do you guys really think Hephaestion is A+? I mean, at least she's a versatile, pretty solid single-target DPS, I guess. And I guess she's permanent too. Maybe I should put her in A+ then. Just because she's permanent, if anything. Maybe that's the difference maker here. You really want to see Jacques same level as Voyager, huh, Yuri? I do think Jacques is a plus above Voyager, though, personally. Yeah, maybe Ortinax should still be A+, honestly. It probably should be. The zero cost is invaluable. Yeah, it probably should be A+. I think that makes sense. So people also kind of want to see Hokusai A+, if, I guess because Koyan Light or Dark is there, maybe. I can maybe see that as well. And I've used her a lot too, so, Jacques deals less damage and is reliant on debuff she cannot enable, and their buffs are pretty much tied. I mean, there's a lot of easy ways to enable curse though, Yuri. Like, you know, just like command codes alone. I definitely think Jacques has an overall better damage potential than Voyager does, and also I honestly think Jacques has a better skill set too. The only thing where I think Voyager is better is he has a slightly better MP, but I think Jacques dealing more damage and having a better skill set puts her a plus above him. I mean, you could bring Dolman, for instance, Yuri, if you want curses on AoE. He's not a bad to combo with Jacques because she's also chaotic evil, right? Voyager loops, Jacques doesn't. I mean, it's numbers, man. It's hard to argue, man. I don't know what you're talking about. This was tested. This is true. You can see the numbers are, you know, besides wave 1, they're higher anyway. I think you're just a bit too moldy right now, Yuri, I'm sorry. Her looping is scuffed. But you said she doesn't loop. Stop changing the topic. Okay, I'm over that. I'm not changing Jacques and Voyager at least. That's the end of that. Shitonai to A. I like her in A+. She's very solid. Very versatile and good single target DPS. Good card type. Okita is a better alter than Voyager. You're not maybe wrong, although at least Voyager has the better class, I guess. Melt is better than Shitonai. If we had better quick supports, I'd agree, but no. Blame the supports. Because those are obviously taken into account in my criteria. KP looping reliably kills 90+. Are you saying she should be like A then or something, Rish? I guess. Yeah, I guess a lot of people really want to see Hokusai A+. Okay, maybe I could do it then. Alright. Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess maybe I could bump King Protea if she actually loops 90+ consistently. But are we talking about like is it MP1? That's the difference maker. It's a K-scope thing, but she can, so I think it's worthy of A. MP1 does 90+, really? Alright, I think I can maybe bump her up to A then, honestly. Sure. I trust you on those numbers, by the way. If that's true. I think I might be okay with this now. I know obviously not everyone will be happy with some of the placements, but I think I'm finally, you know, starting to be like, I think I'm gonna, yeah, it's a middle finger again. Fucking hell. It happens so often, okay? Okay. Yeah. Again, I can understand with some of these maybe small adjustments could be made and that's fine. But I think this is the, you know, what I'm gonna end this at, if anything. Dude, I can't wait to see the mold from Oberon though. And maybe some others. It is what it is. But this is what my heart says. And a bit of feedback as well that I agreed to. So there you go. We have a nice middle finger. Okay. Mikkel is marked to at A- for the memes because she's not sprayed. Nah, it's fine. You get the Kudera personality, which some people like. That's still a thing. Oh, there you go. There you go. You dislike Oberon so much. Well, thanks for the added comment. Well, yeah, this is okay. This is it. I am finally free. Okay, I'm free, and you know, yeah, I can see people already making arguments in the chat. That's fine. That's fine. You can make small adjustments in your tier list as well if you want, but this is what I will lock it in as. Okay. Who knows if I do this again? These again next year. Some might be seeing different spots, especially if new supports and or buffs happen, for sure. And again, feel free to... I can understand a lot of small adjustments for many of these. Not all of them. For some, many of them, I'm very confident in my ranking, but for some, I could maybe understand small tweaking. So there you go. I guess I should say a few words before I close this out, I guess. Even though some people are probably molding at me at this point, both on stream and probably watching this video. But hopefully, you know, again, you gotta keep in mind, this is just my silly opinion. So don't take it personally. You can have a different list and hey, that's totally fine. But anyway, yeah, this will close out the servant tier lists of 2022. It was a long, like, 2+ months. Goddamn. Again, apologies for the delay week because I got COVID. It is what it is. But I could finally end this. There might be, like, if we get buffs in the future, again, I'm probably gonna, if the buffs are interesting, I'll probably do more buff breakdown videos, and maybe you can see some shifting in some of these lists. Granted, I still have them saved, hopefully. If not, whatever. But most likely, again, I won't be touching a full servant tier list thingy until 2023, because this is a lot of work. You'd be surprised. Like, every year, there's more and more servants. It's getting ridiculous. So... yeah, but maybe I'll still do these again next year. Maybe. No guarantees, but especially if people really want to see these, it's gonna encourage me more, I guess. Oof, there you go. Again, shout out to all the people that watch these fully, especially if you watch all of these, like you are an absolute certified mad lad or lass. That's crazy. Who would listen to me blabber for that long? I don't know. But I appreciate it, I guess, nonetheless. Very cool. There might be maybe some other fun tier lists in the future. Not gonna talk about stuff like this though. Who knows? Some people maybe want to see a revamp of the MP animation thing, or maybe other stuff I haven't done yet. We could do command, like, you know, CEs or mystic codes or whatever. I'm down for ideas, and if you have any, I guess you could leave them as comments as well or something. Sorry if some people lost their weekly podcast with this, I guess. Again, I'll take that as a compliment. Pretty funny. And yeah, I guess with that, again, if you enjoyed all of these and this, leave a like if you can. Really helps out a lot. Encourages me to keep making these maybe next year as well. Leave a comment. Tell me how mad you are that I didn't place Oberon in EX Plus or your waifu or husbando. And otherwise, subscribe for more. I will still upload a lot of videos, so stay tuned. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out. There you go. That's going to be up tomorrow, because I have to render this overnight, because it's going to take a long time. Ooh, I'm not ready for it. I have a feeling it's going to be bad, but I'm hoping people will be understandable, because again, it's just one silly opinion. Dude, today's stream was long. I was like, I was scared this was gonna be like a super short stream, But yeah, we're probably gonna call it a day here and choose subset games now. Okay, so yeah, before I end the stream as well, let's see what I'm playing tomorrow. No, I'm not gonna make an SSR ticket guide. No, I'll let other people do that. I might make a video of myself picking mine because it's probably gonna be funny, hopefully. But you know, I let other people maybe handle that stuff. You can watch my tier list of the servant if you want. There you go. There's my advice if you want. But for okay, advice number 1: pick the one you like the most. That's always number 1. I'll just leave it at that. All right, we have 58 responses. Let's see what I'm playing tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow is a full stream because I am starting to feel better. I thought my throat would be more messed up here, but it's actually not too bad. I kind of feel it a little bit, but it's not too bad. Way better than last week. All right, what is behind number 14? Howling says, hey, Transistor. I mean, it's I was pretty moldy last time I played it, but hopefully the next session goes better. All right, so game number 2 with this song in the background. 46 is gonna be... Have you placed the new sisters yet? No, and I probably won't be for a while. Beal. Okay, I'm playing more Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, but the return of the Dragon Maid deck. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna play some more Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm gonna learn the game a bit more. So there you go. Tomorrow, a bit of continuation of Transistor, and then afterwards, I'm gonna learn more Yu-Gi-Oh and get my ass fucking kicked, because I suck at that shit. Yeah, there has been a lot of the Idol Huntress ads going around, Grim. So I guess you're referring to that. A lot of people have told me they have seen that ad, which is pretty funny. Alright, so yeah, I guess that'll conclude today's stream as well, huh? It's a relieving moment to have finished these lists again, and I'm happy because there's a lot of work, so now I can at least have a small break. I'm still not sure if I'll do them next year, but it's also kind of sad, right? We're at the end of the road for this. But who knows? We can have other kind of tier lists and other kind of fun in the future. I'm all up for ideas as well. So there you go. Now for today, again, thank you so much for you guys as well, not just people, again, that will watch the video later on YouTube. Thanks for everyone tuning in today. I missed a few subs as well, I think. Let me read those right now as well. Schizoid Man, thank you for the brand new sub. Jordanian with the 22. Expropriate with the 16. Shisho with the 7. Oh, Press actually gifted Plushie a sub as well. I missed that as well. Oh, that's funny. Thank you for that, Press. 3D with the 17 and Death Admiral with the 4 months. Thank you, my dudes. Now, for today, like I just said, thank you for all the subs. Thank you for the resubs. Thank you for the gifted subs. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the tips. Thank you for the follows. And most importantly, thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys liked it, even though, you know, obviously you might not agree to everything. That would probably be impossible. Hopefully no one is too moldy or anything. Also, Nistu, thanks for the 7 months right at the end. Welcome back to the Gal Gang as well. So yeah, I'll just conclude at that. We'll be back tomorrow with some fun stuff, hopefully, and hopefully I can do full streams again. I am starting to feel pretty good, so here's hoping. Always trouble streaming? But depends on what he's doing. If he's translating, I don't want to spoil people. I assume he's translating, isn't he? I guess he is. Anyway, say hi to Trouble anyway, if you don't mind spoilers. Go say hi to him, he's a fun guy. He doesn't stream much anymore, sadly, because he's busy, but yeah. Anyway, have a great rest of your Friday or Saturday, wherever it is you're at, my dudes, and if you missed this list, don't worry. It's going to be up tomorrow, and otherwise, I hope to see you tomorrow on the stream as well.